All right, hello YouTube. Welcome to what is it? Book Club 29. It just seems like an unnaturally high number for a book club.
It is.
So
it's the highest we've ever been.
It is. We're definitely in uncharted waters now. But yeah, it even when I was typing it out and getting like the document prepped and stuff, I was like 29. It doesn't. No, that's like a round table number.
Yeah.
Well, many years
many
ago.
many moons ago.
Oh man, so yeah, we're here for that. Let's go ahead and hit the intro and get the podcast side started before we get rolling here.
The Dark Tower by Stephen King. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. Go then. There are other worlds than these. Death, but not for you, gunslinger. It's time we had our own palaver, I think, and it's going to take a while.
And yet, dauntless, the slug horn to my lips I set, and blew. Child Roland to the Dark Tower came.
We are content, one from many. Let the palaver begin.
Hello and welcome to Dark Tower Palaver. This is our podcast covering Stephen King's magnum opus, the Dark Tower series. My name is Tad.
And I'm Peter. It's always good when we start off chuckling and I'm shaking my head at you in the video podcast.
Yeah, when it's not just me. I'm not the sole person.
Yeah, but you're
here.
the only one in the room. I can't shake my head at. Well, actually, I can't. Baraki, this is for you.
We have some Ermot love going during the intro there in the chat, so definitely appreciate that, of course, because
No, we don't. We don't.
we-
You can appreciate it, but you don't lump me in with that.
we all miss our dear sweet Ermot.
No, no.
And I may or may not have my Ermot, or it's a Rhea shirt, but Ermot's on it, so I'm going to call it my Ermot shirt. I may already have it ordered.
Yeah, you said that last time.
Yes, indeed.
So.
Can't wait. Yeah, I'm sure it'll get here before we finalize. Well, yeah, we still have a long ways to go for this book club.
Fortnight from now is another book club, so hopefully it gets here before then, right?
Yeah, it could be. Could
be.
Let's go ahead and hit the intro real quick. First of all, there's no spoiler warning unless you're somehow further behind in the books than we are here. We do have a spoiler section at the very end, but you'll be warned with plenty of time and warning both in the video and on the audio side before we move into that. Next up, if you want to find us, you can find us on Apple Podcasting. You can stream us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, and any podcasting service of your choice. If you want to subscribe, rate, and review us on any of those, we appreciate that. Then if you want to join live in the live stream or watch old live streams, you can do that at youtube.com/darktowerpalaver. That is where Baraki is sending us some glorious Ermot remembrances in the chat there.
No.
So that's what's helped derail us during the intro.
Yep.
So and then if you want to find or then also if you could like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, we'd appreciate that on the YouTube side. And if you're watching in the future and you're not with us here live, you can of course drop a comment in the video as well. I'll always get all the notifications on that, so that's always a fun way to do things as well if you're not able to join us live. Then if you want to find the show notes, you can do that at darktowerpalaver.com. There's no show notes for book club episodes, but it is the hub for all things Dark Tower Palaver. You have links for everything that is Dark Tower Palaver over there. And then if you want to support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. People at any level get access to our Discord server, which gives you access to us 24/7. Send us, your Ermot remembrances.
Stop.
Midday
Nope.
Wednesday
Nope.
if you wanted to.
Nope.
So that's always fun, as well as you get access to our monthly hangouts. And then if you are at the highest level, you can also co-host a show with us. And then if you want to contact the show and send some Ermot-related emails, Peter can tell you the ways to do that.
I'm getting tired of the whole Ermot stuff. He's dead. Let him go. He's horrible. He's dead, and it's over.
He will be alive in our hearts forever.
No, he won't.
Yes, indeed.
Email us at show@darktowerpalaver.com. You can also find us on our socials. We have threads and Instagram. It's Dark Tower Palaver, all one word. And then we're on Blue Sky. It's at darktowerpalaver.bsk. Whoa. Uh-oh.
My headphones seem a little bit quiet.
I can't hear you now. Are you?
There we go.
Okay.
My headphones seem a little quiet. I was just resetting my
okay.
my headphones.
Okay, we're good. I can hear you. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me do that one again.
And I could hear mine was just super low. I think it is fixed now, so.
Okay. So check us out on Blue Sky. It's at darktowerpalaver.bsky.social. And then we're also on the Twitter still. It's at darktowerpod. That's at darktowerpod. And facebook.com/darktowerpalaver. And then get our merchandise. It's tpublic.com/user/darktowerpalaver. Get yourself a hashtag Tad is Terrible sticker, shirt, or something. You know what we should do? We should do Ermot was the real hero shirt, and then we should do a Ermot was terrible shirt and see which one sells more.
Or we can say, maybe just do like a vote and say, did Oi attack, Jake on a bridge?
Stop it.
A poor innocent child.
He did not attack him.
Attacked in cold blood.
He didn't attack him. Ermot tried to kill Roland, and it's poor Ermot. Oi bites Jake's hand to save himself from falling, which Jake wanted him to do, and he's the beast of terribleness.
I mean, he is a beast.
No, you stop it.
Snakes aren't beasts.
They're serpents.
They're reptiles.
They're worse. They're serpents.
Nah. They're fun. Fun pets.
Pets, yes. Assassins also. Dropping from trees in ambush and trying to kill our hero.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But, all right, so we are currently still in part 3. We were getting pretty well along into it, though. I think we've kind of laid it out multiple times over the course of this show, this book club. There's the part 1 and part 4 are both a little bit shorter. Those only have under under 10, I think, like 5 or so subchapters. Yeah. But the two center ones both have 10 subchapters each. And we are currently in starting chapter 8 in part 3. So we are 80% of the way through this second big chunk in the middle here. So, and spoiler alert, it is the end of Roland's story at the end of this this whole
chapter,
or what do they call part? I guess part. So
Parts,
part 3.
Okay.
Because after that, when we get to part 4, that is when we jump back to our present day gunslingers in Kansas. So we are chugging our way along here. So let's go ahead and we're also chapter 8, which is titled Ashes. And we are starting right at the top. So we finished subchapter 7 last time, where we left off. Rhea got picked up by the Coffin Hunters. She is going to be taken into town and potentially taken with them to John Farson long term.
Yep.
So
that's the very last thing we saw. Earlier we saw Roland getting and Cuthbert and Elaine getting arrested and all the details with that, right? Or was that the time before?
I think that was 2 episodes ago. I think the last time was all like the repercussions that reverberated
Jonas
out.
went through the barquet, found 2 sets of guns, not 3.
No, the 2 guns.
2 guns. Yeah, we always forget that there's not sets. It's just single.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we left off. We saw the arrest 2 episodes ago. Last episode, we kind of saw the reverberations of that. And now we are going to be joining Susan as she finds we actually did see.
Oh, we saw her find out. Yeah,
we saw her find out. Now it's a matter of like her getting taking action.
Yeah, what's her next steps?
Yeah, based on that information. So that is where we're at, and we are going to go ahead and dive on into subchapter 1 of chapter 8.
And that's my subchapter. So it starts off and says, "Panic is highly contagious, especially in situations where the details aren't known and things are in flux. It was the sight of Miguel that started Susan down its greased slopes." I know, you're reading the chat, and it's all full of Ermot stuff. Shut up.
Did you,
Yes, I saw it all, Tad. I don't need to read it. Don't need to read it out loud. Don't.
It is quite hilarious.
Don't.
I doff my cat to you, David. That's a good one there.
Go ahead, read it. We've talked about it now. We can't do that to the audio listeners.
He put in the chat, Ermot just misses that Coos Tang.
Disgusting.
Anyways, back to the book club now.
Oh,
it was the sight of Miguel that started Susan down its greased slopes. And then I have to read greased slope. Oh my God. What are we doing? What are we doing, Tad? What is it? What is it?
It's a slope. It's not a crevice, at least.
But it's greased, like, oh.
Real slimy and viscous.
Oh, this is gross. He was standing in the middle of Seafront's courtyard, clutching his broom to his chest and looking at the riders who were passing to and fro. On his face was an expression of perplexed misery. His appearance was usually neat as a pin, but this time it was disheveled. His serape was inside out, and there were tears on his cheeks. He was trying to heil those he recognized. It reminded Susan of a child she had seen almost run down by a stage. The child had been pulled back by their father at the last moment, but who would pull Miguel back? She started forward and was almost run down by a passing vaquero. It was so close that one stirrup ticked off her hip and the horse tail flicked across her forearm. She voiced a strange little chuckle. She had been so worried about Miguel, and she herself was almost run down. She looked both ways this time and started forward, then drew back as a wagon with a tarp covering its contents came around the corner so fast that it was on 2 wheels. Miguel moved toward it, still clutching his broom, and Susan thought again of the child before the stage. She shrieked in an inarticulate cry of alarm. Miguel cringed back at the last second, and the wagon flew past him. Miguel fell to his knees and started to pray. Susan watched for a moment and then sprinted for the stables. She had caught the disease that would grip most of Hambury by noon. She did a fair job saddling Pylon. On any other day, there would have been 3 stable boys fighting for the chance to help the pretty Cy. Any ability to think had left her by the time she heel-kicked the startled horse into a run outside the stable door. When she rode past Miguel, still on his knees praying, she saw him no more than any other rider had before her. And I love the I think that's the whole subchapter. So pretty short.
Yeah.
Just wanted to do the whole thing in this one. I love the description of panic and fear is as infectious. It's like a virus, and it just transfers from one person to another. And even like here, Susan calls out specifically that it was the sight of just Miguel that started her on that as well.
Yeah.
And Susan's not immune, despite being, a main character. She's still in the grips of it as well. That's great.
Yeah.
Great writing by King.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. 4th Legacy's Ben, right? You got the
list.
You got the list there.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Good memory, Ted.
Said rich young hooligans murders beloved pet a poor elderly woman. May just post probably. That seems about right. And then also viscous, just like Ermont.
Okay.
You know what I love about it is we've been friends for a long time, and it takes a lot to get to you like that.
It
usually.
does.
You're nowhere near as riseable as Hayden when it comes to that.
Yeah, you just say pizza and cheese with Hayden, and he starts gagging. So
yeah, so I do appreciate when I'm able to get that reaction out of you. So, and yeah, my note here, I think that this kind of reminds me of 9/11 and the disorientation and confusion that whole day. Of course, for those of us old enough to have been, alive and or old enough to remember. But yes, there's just an element of panic, right? And I also thought about it in terms of like the Salem witch trials.
Mm-hmm.
Where panic just starts to spread, and it just causes people to start acting irrationally.
There was a little bit, not a ton, but there was a little bit with the COVID shutdowns that there was an element of people that they just couldn't handle that. Especially I think we talked about it one time on, maybe it was on the show, that we saw pictures of Las Vegas just completely empty.
Yeah.
And how unnerving it was, because especially for us, because we're such big fans of Stephen King in The Stand, it has a huge implication with Vegas. So the one that got me and really unnerved me was when I saw the pictures of Times Square just completely empty.
Yeah.
I've never seen Times Square empty in any picture live. I mean, of course, one of the times I tune into it is the ball drop when it's the most packed.
Yeah.
But still, it's just it reminds me a little bit of that, where there's those first couple months of the COVID shutdown where everyone was just what the hell is going on?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I remember thinking to myself, man, if I were a filmmaker wanting to make a post-apocalyptic thing, I'd be getting out on the street right now and filming.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, so the other thing I will say is there's some imagery in this section that reminds me of the very, very opening of The Exorcist, the stuff that people tend to forget, which is the Iraq scene in there.
He almost gets run down by a carriage. Yeah.
And there's a carriage with a little, nun lady in a very dark thing, and she's rather old and, whatever. Yep. So maybe there's something later in this chapter that also makes me think of that. Runaway, cart. Also could be... Not the Omen. No, maybe it's the Omen with the glass that cuts the dude's head off.
It's the Omen.
The Omen, because you have a runaway cart in that too.
Yep.
So there's some horror movie imagery that's coming to mind as a long-time horror fan as we're reading some of this here with runaway carts, and later on we might be seeing. Well, we already know that Rhea's in a cart right now.
They were hooking it up to DePape's horse. So.
Yeah, so it just keeps bringing me back to The Exorcist. Makes me think I need to rewatch The Exorcist. It is, of course, spooky season for me all year round, and it is a great one to watch. So my next note, I feel like on screen they love to accomplish this kind of like disorientation and shock with the ringing sound overplaying everything that you should be hearing.
Oh, yeah, that
yeah,
like that high pitched, yeah,
you see
absolutely.
that. You see that a lot with it. So
what you would see is like Susan gets knocked back into the wall instead of just lightly brushed at the hip by the person, and then her head hits, and then there's the ringing from it. It's like it always is like that. But then there's also the ones where it's like the traumatic, like just like they can't,
someone's in
they
shock.
can't handle it. Yeah,
especially if it's your main character. So also I find it interesting that she is feeling the same way as most of the other people, but for an entirely different reason. For her, it's about the fact that the boys have been arrested, right? Because she's in on the overall plot of the boys. So like, and I mean, the plot of the boys never had anything to do with the mayor and stuff, but I don't think she gives two shits about the mayor or Avery. Like, I don't think any of that affects her at all, really.
Yeah.
If anything, she's probably relieved by the mayor's death. So, but she's shocked because I almost think of it again, going back to, like I said earlier, it's like the feeling of 9/11. It's like if you knew someone that would, and maybe if you knew the flight numbers, which I don't think we did early on in the day, but if you did, you knew your parents were on that. One of those flights, what
if you knew your parent was flying into New York that day or flying out of New York that day? Like Seth MacFarlane tells the famous story how he missed his flight.
Yeah,
and it's just like, imagine being Seth MacFarlane's brother, and you know that he's supposed to be on that flight.
Yeah,
he's supposed to be on a flight. Is it that flight? We don't know the number.
Yeah, and ultimately, I mean that's maybe not the perfect example because people are still are lamenting all deaths that day. But it is a thing where it's like she's just as shocked as everyone else. But I do find it kind of funny or fascinating that like for her it's because of a completely different thing. But because she is shocked, like from the outside, no one's going to be able to tell that she's any different than anyone else.
Yeah, it's not a different reason that she's shocked to the outside observer. She's just as shocked as everyone else. Oh my God, my lover was killed.
Yeah.
That's what everyone's thinking she's feeling. So.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good camouflage potentially for like the not getting suspected, because I think we're going to go over it a few times during the course of this episode today. Is I think it's good to remember that ultimately Susan is not tied to the boys super directly, and we'll I have a few notes on that later as well. But
I do as well.
So she does have some element of incognito still. Like she's not immediately in danger the same way our boys were, like to get arrested immediately. Like,
right
now, yeah, that doesn't mean there's not
go ahead and read your other note that's talking about this. So.
It's not like there's not a knife. What is it? The knife of Damocles?
It's not hanging right above her head.
Because it certainly is. So yeah. Oh, I guess I do have a note for that now.
Yeah.
The danger is far less for her. But she, most people except for Rhea and Cordelia don't know that she's as tied to the boys as she is. So she's not in the immediate danger that they are, but the danger for her is just off
one
screen.
Step. It's one step away. That's the reason why my note here is it's worrisome, because she's still in danger. And I know what you're saying is that she's not in immediate danger, but like you said, Rhea and Cordelia
both know. Yeah,
Rhea's now with
Rhea's on the way to town.
Rhea's now with the Coffin Hunters.
Coming
so it's
to
like
town.
Yeah, so it's like she's in danger. If she stays, if she's at seafront when they get there, she's probably dead. Like not even like locked up and arrested, right? Like Rhea's gonna have her fucking killed.
Yeah,
because Rhea has a vendetta against her.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying like she's in danger.
Yeah, 100%. But it is interesting because it is like there's like a little bit of wiggle room that she's got. Because if everyone knew that she was as tied to the boys as she is, she would have been arrested already. Right. So yeah, I don't know. That's something to pin our hats on a little bit, that she does have a little bit of maneuverability that the boys obviously don't have currently, being arrested. So, all right, so let's go ahead and jump on over to subchapter 2. So she rode straight down the high street, pushing Pylon until he was really moving. Thoughts, questions, possible plans of action, none of those things were in her mind as she rode. She was vaguely aware of other people on the street, but paid them no mind and let Pylon weave his own way through them all. It's funny. I was actually just pausing real quick. I was teasing someone at work that lives in a more rural area. He actually lives in a different state, and he was talking about riding a horse. I'm like, can you get a DUI on a horse? And he's like, yeah, I think so. I'm like, that's stupid, though, because a horse has free will. Like, it's going to, it's like if you try to run it into a wall, it's not going to run into a wall. So
they can. There depends on how well trained the horse is, because I remember my uncle having horses, and he's like, hey, don't get too close to the fence. The horse will run into it if you try and steer them.
A fence, yeah, but
well, it was a barbed wire fence, too, so it's not like they could easily see it. But I think that's the reason why you can still get a DUI on it, is because you can lead a horse into the road and cause harm to other people, kind of thing.
Maybe
so.
it's just this just reminds me of it now, because it's like ultimately she isn't paying attention.
Yeah.
And it's like if this were a if this were a motorcycle, she'd be running people down. But she has that ability to basically just go, no, I know that Pylon's not going to run anybody over, so he's going to kind of bob and weave and stuff. Now the stupid horses in Red Dead Redemption, on the other hand. Those dumb bastards run into every fucking thing all the time.
So just a quick search. It looks like it's state specific here in the United States for laws, and some of them do have it where there's a law for you can get a DUI if you're on a horse.
I think it's nonsense.
Obviously, number one of the top states listed is Kentucky. That makes sense.
Good old Kentucky bourbon. I love it. So Roland's name just echoed in her head like a scream. Everything has gone upside down. They're a brave little quartet that was born in the graveyard, which that's just a fun thing to have.
Born in the graveyard.
Born in the graveyard.
Anything born in the graveyard that seems kind of like kinky, you know?
Sounds like a good name for a metal band.
Born in the graveyard.
Yeah. Or do you say boneyard for a metal band?
Born in the... Oh, okay, let's see. Now introducing Born in the Graveyard. Born in the Boneyard. Yep, Boneyard.
Way better.
Yep.
Way better.
Yep. I think you go Graveyard if you're doing it as the title of a song. You do Boneyard if you're doing the name of the band.
Yeah, Boneyard's just way more metal.
Yeah.
So, or if you're just some pussy-ass band that plays soft-ass music and you're using and you're wasting a good name, then you could say Born in the Graveyard.
Rocky makes a good point, or in the Pet Cemetery.
Indeed. That'd be a fun place to visit, the Pet Cemetery, don't you think?
No.
Why not? It'd be fun.
No. I, unlike you, have children that I'm not going anywhere near that thing.
I wonder what a penguin in a pet cemetery would look like.
God, Ted, stop it.
So, sorry. Tangent aside, Born in the Graveyard had been broken. Their quartet that was Born in the Graveyard had been broken. 3 of its members jailed with not long to live, if they were alive at all. And the last member lost and confused, and as crazy with terror as a bird in a barn, which I think that's a funny one. That always reminds me of The Stand. There's the scene when they start to have their round of applause and it scares all the birds in the, because
the meeting,
like the meeting hall or whatever. I don't know. I don't even think you have to be in like a rural sense to kind of get that idea of like birds, like
not necessarily barn, but birds inside of a human dwelling.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if did it ever happen to you where you got a bird inside your house?
Never in a house. I've seen it multiple times in like different various stores. Like I always love seeing them at like Home Depot and stuff because it's just like those stores are so open. There's just no way to like keep them out, and I just don't think they even try. No. I think they just whatever. It is what it is.
We had a bird get into my parents' house one time through a duct that was on the roof. I think they were trying to set up like a nest, and it fell down in and ended up in our basement of all places.
Oh yeah.
So imagine not only a bird, but a bird in a basement instead of like flying in through an open window, like is the common thing.
I will say we've had birds loose in the house, but usually they were pet birds that got out of their cages. So, going on my notes here, she is rightly kind of spiraling. Part of me wants to judge her like I've judged Roland for most of this book, but then I remind myself that not only is she only 16, but she's not trained in the least bit like Roland is. So, that's I don't know. I definitely give her credit for sure. So.
Baraki says Tad has a twisted idea of fun, and I'm here for it. Yes, he does.
Well, the good thing is the penguins waddle. So as a undead penguin was coming after you, you probably could outrun it.
I mean, I could outrun a penguin now. As long as I'm not on ice, I'm good. So,
unless it started to fly.
Which they do. They're just... They're just hiding their ability.
The Simpsons taught me that.
Yeah, that Homer episode where he's in the Navy.
No, that's not the one they fly. It's the Comet one.
No, they fly out of that one too.
No, they're just on the
Don't
aircraft.
They fly? Oh no, they dive off into the water.
Yeah,
that's right.
They have the aircraft carrier. Yeah.
Why do I doubt you with Simpsons? Why? Especially those first 6 seasons. Why do I doubt you?
Oh, I'd say first 12 or so. I'm pretty good.
I know the first 6 for sure. I didn't know about the 12. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy that she doesn't even know if they're alive or dead. We know, but she has no
There's
clue.
no way for her to know.
No.
I mean, I think she was told in the previous chapter that they were arrested, but being arrested doesn't mean that you're not going to be. I mean, I mentioned it even where it was like there would be a danger of potentially these boys getting lynched as they come into town.
Yeah.
Because like when you have the prisoners, like if the town is in a fervor, like do you think the Coffin Hunters and this group that they've got here is enough to actually throw off the whole crowd? Now, if they're not.
If they're not, against them, if they were just being, impartial,
Yeah. Even
exactly.
if, but I mean, of course, it's a matter of if the town's actually, spiraled up into a lather.
Which we find out later that it's not yet.
Not yet, but if they were, though, like the boys could easily be killed. So yeah,
and she asked to, I think it's Maria that wakes her up. She asks, like, are they alive? And she's like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Indeed. So quartet broken. That's a new concept for us, isn't it?
It is.
We've seen, of course, a quartet born. Now, I will say the only thing that I have that would be in my mind is if we had any previous mention of Roland's old quartet when we had current Roland. Whatever. I mean, we heard about, some elements of it through like in the earlier books, like where you'd have like random like throwbacks to whatever. But in terms of like the breaking of a quartet, that's kind of a new concept. I mean, I feel like we're still fairly new to the concept of quartets. We only had that introduced to us last book.
It was last book,
and really we're a good chunk through this book. But let's be real, this book has been so much of a flashback that last book still feels very recent in our minds. So yeah, like the idea of a quartet still fairly new to us. So yeah, the idea that it can be broken. I mean, of course, I wouldn't imagine that it's like an unbreakable thing,
right?
But it is just a new concept that we've not necessarily been fully exposed to until now. So just kind of a throwaway line there, but it is
kind of interesting when you look at it. That's why I love these book clubs. Is like the deeper dive, you catch little things like that. Like, oh, is this the first time that phrase is mentioned? Is this the first time that King mentions that a quartet can be broken? Like, what does that even mean? Does that imply that it's broken because someone's dead? Does that imply that someone can break it because of treachery? Like, is there different reasons why a quartet can be gives like a whole new, like, deeper when you look at it kind of thing. I want us to pause here real fast. There was something that came up in chat a little bit ago, and I was waiting for the right moment to bring it up. David says Cordelia does not actually know yet about Roland and Susan. So I wanted to discuss that because we're about to see the full confirmation where Cordelia and Susan have their final confrontation here. And
so I think she knows, but it's like a 65% of the way. Like, it's kind of one of those things, like, in your heart that it's true, but like in terms of like watching a legal show and it comes down to what do you know versus what can you prove,
right?
There's the disconnect. She knows, but it's a no of like 60% of the way there, and there's no way that she could ever like convince a court type thing. So that's where it's at. It's like, that's how I would view where Cordelia's at.
Okay.
But
see, I take it in a different frame.
But she's also not rational, so I think that 60%. I mean, even when it was down to like, I would say that originally when she saw the whole window thing, I would have said that's only like a 10%, like, because that's just like a fringe suspicion. But for her, I mean, she's been clinging to that. I mean, actually, it wasn't even the window; it was the fucking welcome dinner that Cordelia is like
instantly fired up. How do you know that boy?
Yeah, do you know him? Have you met him before?
Then the wave and the window confirmed it to her. See, this is where for me what I'm saying is what I believe is that Cordelia knows. She believes she knows 100%. There is no doubt for her.
In her mind.
There is no doubt for her mind. Now, prove it to the court kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's a whole different percentage. I think that's a different bar. I think that's a different measuring and everything like that. So when David says that Cordelia does not actually know yet, that's where I'm like, okay, that's the question is like, are you talking about her proving it in court? No, or her knowing to herself,
to her mind, that we already know is slipping, and it's been slipping the whole story pretty much. But in the last few times we've seen Cordelia, we've even looked at each other and went, "She's fucking losing it, man."
Yeah,
like, and this isn't good.
Like it's there when you just read the book, but when you're doing the deep dives like this, you're like, "Holy fuck, she's insane.
Yeah.
Like, she is, like, realistically, like, someone get her a padded, straight jacket and a padded cell. Like, holy hell, she's mad.
Yeah.
Flying off the handle and physically attacking Susan multiple times.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's the thing, I guess. So I make it a distinction in terms of, like, what she can full-on prove.
Right.
And I would say that she would recognize that gap if she were reasonable and logical, which we know that she's not. So,
Right.
yes, in her absolute mind, it's 100% for sure. But I think if it was a matter of if she actually was, like, bringing it to, like, Thorin.
Right.
Rest in peace, Thorin, right?
Well, here's
but if she was to bring it
yes.
to him, I think when he started questioning her, I think she would then be able to diagnose the fact of, like, okay, no, maybe I'm only 65% of the way to proving it, but I know for sure that it's fucking happening. Now, but I think you would need that challenge from, like, some sort of higher power, like, like Thorin would be, or Avery, or
Reimer.
Reimer. Thank you. When I say, for some reason I always flip those two names. When I said Avery, I meant Reimer.
Got you.
Yeah, and then I was like, wait, what's the sheriff's name? I'm like, no, Sheriff's Avery. If it were coming to that, then I think she would be able to, like the reality would set through, like, the fog of her madness to like help her understand, like, oh shit, no. I guess I can't truly prove it. Like, I've got a very good circumstantial case.
Yes.
But I don't have the smoking gun.
See, here's the other thing for me, and this is where I wanna take it a little bit, just like what you're mentioning is, like, her talking to Thorin or Reimer or someone like that. I think it's also important to remember what Thorin would care about at that point. Is she pure? Is she?
Yeah.
It's a horrible question to consider. Would Thorin honestly care if he still got to have her?
Yeah,
that's an interesting question. I don't want to go into that now.
I think
it comes
it's a matter
down
of
to
it's a matter of the culture.
The culture, right? Is it important? How important is it that she's pure?
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff. That all aside, here's the thing, though. If Cordelia went to the Traveler's Rest right now, and she started talking to them, that she was involved with Will Dearborn, and that she was conspiring with Will Dearborn. And with how much, this is important too, is how much does the person believe when talking to a mob?
Yeah.
And the mob is going to believe her because she believes
and
it.
how much does a mob need to actually be proven?
Exactly.
Again, Salem witch trial
that's
is
a lot different.
That's
a lot different than, like, an authoritative, like you were saying with, like, Reimer or Avery or Thorin and everything like that.
Yeah.
That is a very different situation, and that is a very dangerous situation. And that's, again, this is what I'm talking about when I say Susan's in fucking danger, man.
And then Baraki mentions that Cordelia would have official confirmation by now, if not for Sheemie.
Exactly.
And I think that's the other part of it, is the ironclad smoking gun is coming down the mountain right now in a cart.
Yes.
So, like, this isn't looking good right now.
No.
Because, like, she is very much in danger, but, like, again, it feels like it's a little bit. It's like if you're playing chess, it's like 2 moves removed from danger,
right?
But those 2 moves aren't that far, aren't that far down the road. So,
and I think David's 100% right. Cordelia does not have 100% confirmation. I just think that she thinks it.
But here's
100%.
the other question I would say is she doesn't know, and she doesn't have 100%, like, whatever. And I said, let's just say that Thorin was still alive and she was bringing it to him. And I guess
just say she brought it to him last week when she knew.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that he would actually be logical and be like, hey, what evidence do you have? Who's to say he would be logical? Or would he just fly off the handle emotionally as well?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, one of the things that you could look at if Thorin is smart and everything like that, and he's
Avery, I think Avery's smarter. Like, he would be more logical of, like,
I think Reimer's the one that especially would be removed.
Prove it to me.
Prove it to me. And I think the thing that also would be, like, that would stand out is, well, why is she doing this? Because that's going to screw herself over. Why would she make this up?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the big ones. It's like,
yeah,
well, why would she tell us if it's not true?
Yeah.
That's just going to screw her position in Hambury.
Yeah.
That's going to make her lose money.
Yeah.
Which
is probably the only reason she hasn't said anything.
Exactly. I honestly believe that's probably what it is the shame and the fear of losing
the monetary loss.
The monetary loss is the reason why she hasn't gone public with it.
Yeah, and the reason I brought Avery up is because we've been told multiple times, even by his own sister, that Thorin's a fool, right?
Yeah, David says it in the chat. She would not have told the mayor about what her niece was doing. Then she would not have gotten any money. Exactly.
Yeah, right on the money for sure.
Exactly.
But I think that's why I picked out Avery, though, because like ultimately we've been told multiple times by multiple people that Thorin's just a fool. He's kind of a bumbling idiot at this point.
Doesn't she talk to Jonas, though?
Yeah.
She talks to Jonas very early on, and I think because
that
it's 50-50. She suspects, but she's not sure.
Because that rattles Jonas, remember? Because he's like, if he was able to keep that secret from me,
what else is he?
What else could there be? But then he ends up mostly brushing it off. Like I don't think he really bought into it entirely, from my memory of how that went. Like, you know, and I wonder if part of it was like self-defense, though, where it's like knowing if it were true and what that would mean, like as it fanned out. I think that maybe it was one of those things where your mind just like ignore, like the people that get into to denial, right?
Yeah.
Like it almost breaks your brain if it's true. So your brain just throws up roadblocks and goes, no, there's no way it's real. Like that can't be real. She's just crazy. Yeah. So
it's interesting to think though that if he had any suspicion about that, like lingering, like you're saying, I think you're 100% right that he threw up a roadblock and then just brushed it off. But imagine if he hadn't and he had accounted for Susan.
Oh, yeah. I think we talked about it in that episode where it's like, hey, he is like 50-50 on I'm not going to underestimate these boys again, because 50% of the time he is actually being almost like to the point where we're almost like wanting to shake our fucking fists at him because he's being so fucking vigilant. But then there's other times I don't know if they're just blind spots to him that he is underestimating them.
And this is Exhibit A.
That was one of them where and we said it in that episode. It's like he is underestimating here. Why is he not looking into this deeper? Because like, and I think we're gonna get some more in this episode if I remember right. I think there's one in one of my sections that he's overlooking them in certain ways. So I think I love it though because it is like, I mean, it's good because he's such an effective villain here that like it is good that he has some weakness.
There's hope then.
Yeah, there's some hope, but not a lot because he is very, very fucking dialed in on those spots where he's actually not letting them slip by. But he is letting it slip on some things. It's very selective though.
Yeah.
All right. And I don't think it's conscious. Like I'm not like in my mind, I don't think he's sitting there going like, whatever. No, I think there's just blind spots where it's just like, he just because I think he's being so vigilant about not underestimating them. But it's the shit he's so hyper fixating on some of them to make sure that he doesn't. He's losing shit in the periphery.
Yes.
So
tunnel vision.
Yeah, tunnel visioning it for sure. So going on, if her panic held, things may have turned out in a much different fashion. That's a horrible King line there. Because you never know when King says things like that. It's like, what does that mean, King?
Yeah.
As a King reader, you don't have to read that many King books to understand that those King teases. Sometimes they're very overt, and that's the last. I mean, we had it with Roland and Susan last episode, wasn't it? It's the last time they ever laid together.
Yeah.
So we had that when they were in the shack the day before this. Yep. So like, King does that to us all the time, and sometimes he tricks us though, because he'll tell you something. It's like, oh my god, that means everyone's gonna die, and then like something happens where it's like it doesn't play out that way.
Yeah.
But what he said is still true. Like King's very good. I think it's like almost like a sleight of hand.
It's
like, hey, look at this hand, and then like he like takes your wallet with the other hand, and like, oh look, I got your wallet, and then you're just like, What magic did you just do? Like, King's good at that writing wise, but that's
Speaking
one of those.
The Salem witch trials. Burn him! He's a witch.
He's a witch. He is up in the New England area too.
He is.
I think that's from what I understand with history. That's where all the witches congregated.
Absolutely. That's
and maybe it makes sense then that Maine. Maybe it's like retroactive. Right?
Are we on to something, Ted?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Maybe there's something under that house. The King house. Maybe there's some sort of subterranean creature there that permeated all these stories into him.
But he moved out of that house and kept writing stories. So maybe he took it with him.
Yeah. Maybe it's his pet. Maybe it's a corgi.
Like a little gizmo.
It's one of his corgis.
Yeah.
It just transfers from corgi to corgi.
Yes. That's why he always has corgis.
But as she rode through the center of town, and out the other side, her way took her to the house that she had shared with her father and her aunt. Her aunt, who had been watching for this very writer. So my note, this is ominous, and I remembered hoping we got to this point the very first time I read it, I remember just hoping she was going to kill her here. Yeah. I'm like, it feels to me now that like there's that moment in the movies, right, when you're really trying to keep the plate spinning, and there comes the point when like something happens and it's just nothing matters anymore. All the pretenses that have held your story through the entire rest of the movie just don't fucking matter anymore. And I felt like we had hit that point in this book. I remember the first time reading it, and I just remember
the gloves are off. Let's
yeah,
go.
and you don't need the pretense anymore. And I just remember hoping she fucking kills her. I remember thinking that very vividly. I'm like, please let this be the death of this woman. So
I just have one question. Why would you go there? Why in God's name would you go there, of all places?
yeah.
This has to be one of the stupidest moves by Susan in the entire book.
Do you think it's even thought? Because as much as
It
she's
doesn't matter. Even if she's panicking and stuff like that, you have to think, oh my God, where are the places I shouldn't go?
But she's not thinking though. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
Is
yeah.
it that almost like what is it, like muscle memory?
Yeah.
Or is she even driving? Pylon was moving through the crowd.
Right.
Is he just going back home? He knows
Maybe that's
where do you go 9 out of 10 times?
Yeah.
Probably 9.9 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
When you're coming from town, where do you go? You go
Home.
there. Because I honestly,
It's only been a day or so since she moved out, right?
yeah,
Because the last time she saw Cordelia, she's like, I'm done. I'm never coming back here.
yeah.
And then, like, literally, it's like she's going back there. It's like, no!
So there is that part of me that thinks that because her mental state here, I don't even know if she's conscious that that's where they're going.
Yeah.
So, so I do wonder if we blame Pylon.
I mean, here in your next section, it covers the state of Susan's mind, so...
But even just what we covered already up to this
Yeah.
point, right? She's got that bell ringing in her head, like she's not thinking consciously. Pylon's moving through the crowd, otherwise she would have been mowing people down. And because she also kicked him up to a fucking full speed too,
Yeah.
which I wouldn't imagine is very safe in a town. So she's reeling. So I do kind of wonder because I've thought that a few times where it's like, why did she go there? But it's like, and then the way this little bit of a spoiler alert, the way this next section plays out, nothing really is accomplished. So I do wonder if it was just either her muscle memory or Pylon
Or
that's
both.
just like this is where we go. We
Yeah.
are coming from there. We always go there. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Like
Animal's instinct, right?
yeah, like and that's home for Pylon. That's probably
And
the only home
and it's
he's
a
ever.
horse, right? Like, that's a horse that's not used for, like, plowing and stuff like that. This horse is used to transport a rider from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Most recently, point A is seafront, point B is home.
Yeah,
just
and that's
going
probably the
back
only
and forth.
that's probably the only home that Pylon's ever known. Probably
Yeah.
born in that place.
Probably.
So, yeah, like
I mean, Pylon was one of their horses before, so
yeah, and it was given back to them. So yeah, So maybe we could just blame the horse here and not Susan.
You always blaming animals.
But I'm just saying because like
I get what you're saying.
because I do think that King has set us up in a way where Susan is not thinking here at all. Now, hopefully, that's going to stop here pretty soon, and the thinking part's going to turn back on. But as of right now, she's very much in I would call it a haze,
almost
like fog of war type thing. She's in that right now, and
Yes.
she's. It even said earlier, right? She's not even.
It says it right here.
And she doesn't even. Well, earlier it said thoughts, questions, possible plans of action. None of that was in her mind as she wrote. That was
Yeah.
that very first of this subchapter. So it's like she's not even thinking. She's just like, I don't even know if she's even. Yeah, just whatever. So if she were driving, she'd probably be dead right now.
In a ditch.
Thank God there's a horse here that has conscious thought.
She did not get a DUI.
She didn't get a DUI. Yeah, driving under the influence of what? Panic?
Emotional trauma.
Emotional damage, something. So going on, I'm sorry, we already covered that one. As Susan neared the door, flew open, and Cordelia, head to toe in black, rushed down the walk to the street, shrieking with either horror or laughter, maybe both. The sight cut through the haze in Susan's mind, but not because she recognized her aunt, but because she thought it was Rhea, and cried out as such. As she drew back on the reins so violently that Pylon skidded, reared, and almost tilted them over backwards, which would have killed her. But Pylon kept his footing. Susan clutched his neck for dear life. Cordelia was wearing her best black dress and a laced mantilla, which I looked that up. That's just like a veil, almost like a not necessarily a veil that goes over your face, but like a veil that a bride would wear when it's not over their face, or like a shawl is the other thing that you'd see that as. But they're generally kind of lacy and very kind of opulent, like kind of it would be like something you would put on specifically maybe to go to church or something. So that was over her hair and she stood out in front of the horse as though it were her own parlor that she stood in, paying no attention to the flailing hooves that were only feet from her face. Please, Pylon, just kick her. And her hands held a wooden box. Susan realized she was not Rhea because she was not as thin as Rhea, or at least not yet. and she was dressed better except for the dirty gloves. She wondered why she'd been wearing gloves, but the mad look in Cordelia's eyes was horribly similar to Rhea. And then earlier, I also want to mention, as we're getting into this here, I think it was David that mentioned how great Frank does in this chapter, playing the mad struck Cordelia. So definitely recommend that to anyone that hasn't read the audiobooks. Frank Muller does a great job with this. Does a great job with a lot of the voices, and his insane Cordelia is quite good. So my notes here: the shrieking laughs that you can't tell if they're horror or laughter is fucking terrifying. Like, I can imagine just what that sounds like, and it's not good.
I've had those not horror and laughter, but sad and laughter. I can't tell if someone's crying or laughing. Yeah, it's very similar to that. Yeah, it's unnerving. It sets me on edge every time my wife or daughter does it. I'm like, are you laughing or crying? I can't tell. Yeah, especially when I can't see them. Like, they're in the other room, but I can hear them. It's like, yeah, which is it?
Well, what would be even better though is if your kid was still 6 or 7, you're out in the woods. It was out in the distance in the dark, and you heard that sound.
I mean, I don't have to have a 6 or 7-year-old to be lost in the woods and hear that.
No, but 6 or 7-year-olds are way creepier than the kid you got now.
I don't know about that. She's about to be a teenager.
No, I know. Teenagers are scary for a different reason, but horror movies have taught you anything. It's like anywhere from a 5 to like a
8,
11-ish year, maybe, because Reagan kind of falls into 11 or 12. But like in that range, kids are just fucking terrifying. Danny from The Shining,
standing
the Omen.
next to you at the side of the bed. I'm thirsty.
Yeah,
when you wake up,
or talking with their finger. Like they're just terrifying. So, my next note: Cordelia is not paying attention to Pylon. Yeah, that she is just batshit insane. Like, she's completely broken. I think that's my thought here, because we were thinking that the last couple times we've seen her, where it's like, man, she's slipping. But the fact that she's basically putting her life at risk right here, and not even registering, like she's completely gone.
This is the second time also that she's done that. She did it last time too, when she burned the stuffy guy. All the ashes with stuff were like biting on her, and she didn't even react at all. And it's said in that, I remember it said that if the house had caught fire, she probably wouldn't have even reacted then.
Yeah.
So this is not the first time.
No.
This is the second time in 2 episodes.
So I guess maybe
we've had this.
Maybe we had pure madness at that point, but I guess this is the first time that true madness is crossing over with someone else,
where someone's witnessing it, because the stuffy guy was just her by herself in her yard.
Yeah.
This Susan's present for.
Kind of like Rhea, right? We've seen Rhea deteriorating throughout this entire book, physically and slightly mentally, but for good stretches of that, no one's seen her but us. So, like last episode when we had the Coffin Hunters up there, that's the first time anyone's seen Rhea except for Sheemie when he went up.
If he even saw her.
Yeah, actually, I don't remember if he saw her or not. Or was she?
Yeah, she had to give him the note.
Or that's right. We're thinking of Roland that doesn't see her. When
Roland,
it's just like the dark shack with like the dark.
You never see her. You hear her voice and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then he blows Ermot's head off, thank God. And it's a glorious day, so.
Good night, sweet prince.
No.
So we're confusing it. So Roland and Cuthbert do not see her. The Coffin Hunters, of course, saw her, and then Sheemie saw her. But again, Sheemie, it's hard to.
And the Coffin Hunters just saw her.
And they just saw her, but they at least one of them, probably Jonas, would have brought the ball at before the story. Because
they did.
But that happened before the story even started.
Yeah, they
so
did.
it's like at least Jonas,
like right before the story.
Before the story.
Yeah.
But so at least Jonas saw her before, and now he's seeing her after. I don't remember if it told us specifically if the other two were with him or if he went up alone to give her the ball. Yeah. But either way, at least one of them saw her then. Fast forward 3 months of seeing her now, and it's like, what the fuck is this? And Susan, I mean, that's why she confuses Cordelia here with Rhea, because she doesn't really. I mean, Rhea is still thinner than Cordelia for now, but Rhea, she hasn't seen Rhea in months, so she doesn't know that Rhea is basically a skeleton with fucking wax paper over it. So batshit insane, and now we have someone else seeing it other than us. So
none of this is good for Susan. Cordelia is not sane anymore, and I attached to the end of this note again. Why is she going there? But we've already discussed that.
Yeah. And then my last note before moving on here, confusing her for Rhea makes sense. Between the black and the madness, I would guess that laugh is something that you may hear a witch make. And the fact that Susan hasn't seen Rhea in months, she's not seen her in her current skeletal state. Right. But even when like King was writing that before Susan saw it, like my immediate thought the first time I read it was like, oh my God, that's like a witch.
Yeah.
Like that was my first thought, right? Like just, I know our pop culture has taught us that, witches dark, dark black dresses, mad laughter. Like, so it's just, it's all the telltale signs of a witch, right? The only thing
All
she's
she's
not
missing is the wart and the broom.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember thinking that. So then immediately for her to think the same thing, I'm like, I think that's King doing a great job of writing it to kind of give us the indication there. So moving on, Cordelia greeted her, of course, by saying, "Miss oh so young and pretty." And I will pause just to say that every time I hear that in the book or read it, I think of you. Mm-hmm. Just because I know you probably just like grit your teeth every time you hear that.
It is like nails on a chalkboard for me.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I hate that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that I like it. I'm just saying that I just know there's certain things I know with you. Like I'll watch a movie or sometimes or something comes up and I think of you because I just know how you would react.
Oh yeah.
And this is Miss Oh So Young and Pretty is definitely one of them. So her voice was cracked and vicious, so much that it made Susan's heart tremble. Cord curtsied one-handed while holding the box to her chest with the other. She then asked her where she was going this autumn day and with such speed, not to a lover's arms because one was dead and the other was taken. She laughed again. Susan thought her mind was broken and pitied her. Cord asked if she would put Dearborn up to it and moved around the side of Pylon, who was now steadied, and said that she didn't she? And she probably gave him the knife after running her lips across it for good luck. So.
Jesus.
Yeah, full madness here. She then told Susan they were in it together, so why not admit it? So I would just pause there to say, I don't think I have a note for this, but she's looking for the smoking gun still.
Yep.
Makes me wonder why, though. If she's convinced in her mind that it's there, is she to the point where she doesn't care about the reward? Maybe she's wondering if she'll get a reward by turning her in?
Let's clarify this a little bit. She then told Susan they were in it together, so why not admit it? In it together meaning the murders. So she's asking for clarification. She's asking for the smoking gun on. Were you a part of the murder? Go ahead,
I
just
guess.
admit it.
But is
not you two were sleeping
isn't
together.
That implied?
She knows
isn't that implied though?
She knows they're sleeping together. That's why she's saying, admit it. You helped him with the murder. You licked the knife and gave him the blessing and everything. That's what she's saying to admit to.
Could be. Or at least admit that she laid with that boy because she knew anyway.
See,
and she knew, by the way, that he looked at her in the window that day, and the way that she looked back at him.
There's King, basically laying out everything we were hypothesizing earlier.
Yeah,
King lays it out
again,
here.
Why is she looking for a smoking gun here, though?
She's looking for a smoking gun on that she was a part of the murder conspiracy. That she wants. Because then, like what you said...
Well, then she just says there, though, or at least admit that you've been sleeping with that boy. So she's asking for that admission, too. Mm-hmm. So, again, why, though? It makes me wonder, is the danger there that if she does get the smoking gun of, like, hey, she admitted it to me, is she going to go to whoever's left and say that, like, I know the deal was this, but she fucked it up, and I'm turning her in, and she admitted it to me?
Is there a reward?
Is there a reward? Yeah, is there a reward for that? Because let's not play two ways about it here. That would be her primary concern.
Absolutely would.
So, I mean, there's the shame part of it too, but if she could be the one that turns it in, would that not give her the water to wash her hands of the whole thing? And
it wasn't my fault.
Yeah, keep herself high and mighty about it all. So,
Miss also old and ugly.
Yeah, feels very Mrs. Carmody.
Now you know why I don't like Cordelia very much.
So Susan told her that they were lovers and would be man and wife by year's end. Cordelia waved one dirty glove to the sky, mocking the idea of them being wed to the gods. And she said they'd probably drink the blood of their victims at their wedding altar too. She then said it made her weep, but she would not be weeping. But she was not weeping; she was laughing. Susan told her they planned no murders Susan told her they planned no murders, and then in her mind, drawing a line of distinction between what happened at Mayer's house and what they planned to do to Farson's men, she then said that she had done no that he had done no murders, and said that this was the work of her friend Jonas.
Ooh,
that's a spicy one. That's a spicy one. I only wish that there was like still a relationship there, because like we know Cordelia liked Jonas, but like now I think part of that's what isn't that what King said, is that's one of the things that pushed her fully into this madness.
That's what Susan thinks is that
the talk that the Cordelia, Coral and Jonas were connected, and that's now like the talk of the town, and like that would then be like the woman scorned thing, and like maybe that's just the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah,
so.
it's what Susan definitely thinks was like the final straw for her, is like, you'll have all the stuff with Susan and Will that her aunt knows. We've
Yeah.
had that discussion. But then Jonas is sleeping with Coral. That it is not a secret. Like, it does get out into the town. So absolutely, that was kind of like the moment for Cordelia inside the brain.
Yeah, for sure. David says, Aunt Cordelia thinks I'm pretty. Oh, my God.
Jeez.
And then Brock says, no, she just wants to feel justified in her suspicions and wants to feel morally superior. And I think
that is very possible.
That's
It's like, I know it. I want to hear you say it, bitch.
Yeah.
That's probably what Cordelia is. Because there are a lot of people like that. Where it's like,
yeah.
I know I'm right. I know I'm right. I want to hear you say I'm right.
Yeah, for sure. My favorites are the ones when there's characters that suspect usually more of a main character, and you as the audience know that they're right in their suspicions, you know, and it's just and they just start spiraling because of their suspicions, and it's
I think of Jesse and Walter when Jesse suspects that he's the one that poisoned the boy.
Yeah.
That spiral that Jesse goes
Yeah.
on. That's classic what you're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. I will also say, I know you haven't watched a hell of a lot of it, but there was also there's also numbers of that in Dexter as well.
Oh,
where people
yeah.
started to suspect him of his killings.
Isn't that the whole the funny video? Surprise, motherfucker!
Yeah.
Surprise, motherfucker!
Yeah.
That guy suspects him.
Yeah,
right?
he's one of the earliest ones that suspected him.
Yeah.
But throughout the show, other people suspect him.
They're like,
so.
hey, this guy's kind of sus.
Yeah. Because I can't remember what he did with that whole surprise motherfucker. I think he like planted like something in the office to say that they had found something, and like it was in this like shipping container.
Yeah.
And he goes and opens it. It's just like fucking merchandise.
Nothing.
It's just
Yeah.
like fucking shit for a store.
Oh, okay.
And then he closes the door and he pops
Surprise,
up.
motherfucker.
Yeah. So, yeah. Good stuff. I love it. So my note here, Cordelia is terrible, and yeah, she is absolutely insane.
Absolutely.
Like, there's not even a question here.
This is what we've already talked about most of my note. I'm just going to read through it real fast. This could be really dangerous for Susan. We know things aren't going well at Seafront. If Cordelia runs and tells people that Susan was involved and a lover of one of the boys, I doubt that they would investigate. They may just act. So we've already talked about that. What if she runs down to the Traveler's Rest and is like, hey, she was in on it?
Yeah. No, yeah, that's
a dangerous situation.
We have a barrel of gunpowder, and there's a number of sparks flying in the air, and Cordelia is one of them.
One of the biggest ones. Yeah,
Rhea's
absolutely.
another one.
Rhea and Cordelia are two big ones. Yeah. And then you also have like Jonas as well. So
and our boys are tied to that barrel right now.
Yes. Like literally like uh-oh.
Like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. They're
Yes.
just tied to this barrel of gunpowder.
They're blowing on the
Blowing the
gunpowder trail.
Like blowing the Zippo and the floor's on fire.
And the chow.
Oh, I love that movie so much. And then Ben says, I don't know if there's a character more hated while being right than Cordelia. When I read a lot of her parts, I kept thinking, but I mean, she's not entirely wrong, but I hate her still.
I mean, I know one that comes to my mind is Randall Flagg.
Oh,
I got the trains running on time. I got the lights on and everything. Yeah, still wrong.
So another
Still
one
wrong.
another one that you haven't gone super deep into, we might have to change that at some point.
Yeah.
In Better Call Saul,
Yeah.
which is a prequel,
Yes.
but you watch it after you watch Breaking Bad.
And there's moments where it's Saul after the events of Breaking Bad, right?
A little bit, yeah,
Yeah.
but most of it's not. And he has a brother in
Yes.
that, and his brother very much is just the shittiest human being humanly
Yes.
possible.
I did watch the first season.
But what I always tell people, and you only find out that he's kind of the villain at the last episode of the first season, though.
Yes.
Because he uses the partner to be the bad guy. But through the rest of the number of seasons, like it gets his thing though, where he's like constantly just like, you'll never change. You're still like the fucking con artist in Chicago that I bailed out of jail. Like you with the law license is like a chimp with a machine gun, and it's like people fucking hated him. There's a whole subreddit, Fuck Chuck was like a subreddit.
Yeah.
But like I would always go on those and post though, like, but we've seen this movie the rest of the way through. We know he's right. So it's like one of those things where it's like, we know where this ends up. We know what Saul becomes. Like, his brother is not wrong, but he is still one of the most reviled fucking people in
Piece of
television.
shit, yeah.
And I think Cordelia is the same way. So, good call for sure.
Baraki does say with Farson being a huge bomb on the horizon.
Yeah.
With the boys tied to the barrel analogy.
Yeah,
so.
that's true. So I give Cordelia credit. She may be paranoid, but she did see the truth in the early days with Roland, with Roland's look. And again, some of that is paranoia, but there is also intuition that people have, right? Sometimes you can see a glance between two people and know, something's up there. So like
you're very good at reading that kind of shit too. I've over the years since I've known you in high school with high school drama at work and stuff like that. There's been times where we've walked past people, the office door is closed at work, and there's someone in there, and you're like, that person's getting fired. I'm like, how the fuck do you know that? And you're like, oh, it's just how they're sitting in the chair. And then sure enough, they're walking out with a pink slip after that. I'm like, what the fuck? How the fuck, dude? Witchcraft. I think Ted's a witch. I think you are.
I mean, I pay my dues to the covens and the masters of the dark arts. It's just one of those things for sure. It's also like when you could tell when a couple's on a date at a restaurant.
Yes.
And you could tell if it's a bad date. And there's just certain ones.
Oh, it's just, dude, the body language alone. That's one that I can read. It's like, that's not going well.
Oh man,
I can't look away.
And David says Breaking Bad is like Game of Thrones for me. It's on my list of things I've never, but I'm never going to see it ever, and I don't have any specific reason why. Just because. I mean, that happens. I mean, there's too much shit to watch, to be honest. But I also love Susan making a distinction between the murder versus the trap for Farson's men. It's
where you draw the line of what's murder and what's fair game in war.
Yeah, what's just following orders.
Yeah. I mean,
it is. When it comes
down to it,
I would make the same argument that ultimately that would be like an act of war versus like killing the mayor and Avery. That's different.
Yeah,
right?
that's where a lot of people. I once shut someone up where it's like, the U.S. has never done anything dishonorable. There's never anything dishonorable for the U.S. military. And I'm like, Washington crossing the Delaware. And he goes, what are you talking about? I'm like, Washington crossed the Delaware on Christmas Eve at night. That is not within the confines of normal warfare at the time.
For that
sure. Era? No, where you met your opponent in a field and you marched towards each other, and then you took turns shooting at each other.
We also played guerrilla warfare,
yeah, exactly. So it's like no,
which was very uncouth at the time.
What's acceptable now was not acceptable then.
Yeah,
and so it's just like the distinction between the two. It's you got to be careful with that.
Yeah. I love throwing Jonas back at her because Cordelia fancied her. That's a good jab. And Cordelia has not had enough of those thrown at her during the course of this story.
Nope.
So do appreciate that. Thank you, Susan. Cordelia reached into the box and Susan suddenly knew why her hands were dirty. She'd been grubbing in the stove. Cordelia screamed that she cursed Susan with ashes and flung a handful of ashes at Susan's leg, and hand, and kept on that as she cursed her to darkness. Both of them, and told her to be happy. Told them to be happy together, and called them faithless, murderers, cousiners, liars, fornicators, and then called her lost and renounced. I will say cousiners is one we don't use enough in our society. That's a good word. With each cry, she threw another handful of ashes at Susan, and with each cry, Susan's mind became clearer and colder. So I will just pause to also say the fog that Susan's been in this whole time now, seeing Cordelia helped jar some of it, and now this is just completely removing it out of her mind. So it's like maybe it's good.
Almost good that she came
that this happened. Yeah, good boy, Pylon. We were blaming you there a second ago, but maybe it was good. Also, my note here: do it, Susan. Kill the bitch. Kill her. Just kill her dead. So going on. She held fast and let her aunt pelt her in the face. Let her aunt pelt her. In fact, Pylon felt the pelting of the ash and dust and tried to move away a bit, but she gigged him to hold him in place. There were people now watching. People are now watching this old ritual of renunciation. Sheemie was among the watchers, his eyes wide and mouth quivering. Susan barely noticed. Her mind was her own again, and she had an idea of what to do. And for that, she owed her aunt, for that at least, she owed her aunt thanks. She then said that she forgave her aunt. Cordelia dropped the nearly empty box as if she'd been slapped. Another line. Look at that. Two pretty much in a row. I like that. Good girl, Susan. She asked what she had said. Susan said for what Cord had done to Pat. and that she had a part in it. She then rubbed her hands down her ash-covered leg and leaned down before Cordelia could pull away and wiped ash down one of her cheeks. The mark stood out like a wide and deep scar. She told her to wear it or wash it, but she would wear it in her heart, and she thinks she already does, and told her goodbye. Cordelia screamed, asking where she thought she was going, and lunged at the reins, but stumbled over the box and almost fell over. But Susan, still leaning towards her, held her up. Cordelia pulled back from the touch and said that she would not go back to him. She said it was none of her business, and this was the end of between them, and told her that they would be married by year's end, and she was already carrying his first child. Cordelia said they'd be married tomorrow if she went to him, wed in fire and bedded in ashes. She kept going, but Susan was no longer listening. There was not much time to accomplish what she needed to do. She said goodbye, and her aunt's last words followed her and echoed in her head, "In ashes, do you hear me?" So that is the end of the subchapter there.
Wow.
So, yeah, exactly. We've had a lot of explosions of these two ladies over the course of this book, but this is a big one and very public. Probably one of the first public ones that we've had.
Yeah.
So, and I think they're kind of off the beaten path. So it's not like they're in the town center by any means, but there's enough people nearby to get an audience. Yeah. So Susan taking it as annoying. Kill this vile bitch. Don't take her bullshit. That's my first notes. So.
Yep. Got it notated because I noticed that no one else brought it up. Susan's pregnant?
Have they not?
That's the first time.
I guess she
mentioned.
talked about it after that first time.
How great would it be if I was?
And
everything.
And she said maybe.
Yeah.
She said maybe
I could be. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But this is the time where she's like, "Yeah, I'm pregnant with this kid."
Oh, I guess you're right. That slipped by me.
Yeah, I almost missed it as well. And actually, I did my other two notes in this section, and then was like, "Wait,
record scratch?
What?"
we need a record scratch button.
That we do.
That'd be a good button.
I just made the list. I just made the list.
Let's see. What did I miss in the chat here? Cordelia was very sly with hiding the intuitions with Susan, though even Bert did not pick up on it. And then David said, and that's why people in Delaware don't celebrate Christmas.
Because Washington crossed the Delaware.
Good call. Baraki says she's got gunslinger's eyes. David said Stephen King pronounced it like cousining or cozying in Wind Through the Keyhole. But I mean, the word is cousining, though. I mean, I'm familiar with the word. But King does pronounce things sometimes.
He's from New England.
He is from New England, yeah. Let's give him a break here.
Let's give him a pass.
And then Baraki says she sounds more and more like Rhea.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, indeed. People watching, that might not be good. She was promised to the mayor, but now people are finding out that she was sleeping with Roland, and the mayor is dead. This could rope her into the conspiracy in the minds of people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she needs to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, indeed. Marking Cordelia is great.
Literally, what I love is not only. I love when a bad guy gets their just due and gets killed. When they deserve it.
Miss Carmody.
I love it when they get killed, but I also love it when they get
their comeuppance,
and they have to live with it. There's the times where it's just like, you have to live with that for the rest of your life, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
I watched a movie a long time ago, and I don't remember it very well, but a reel of it came across my Instagram of Finding Forrester, where the basketball player gets help with poetry by Sean Connery, who's like this famous professor in that. That guy doesn't deserve to die, but fuck that guy.
Yeah.
That guy is one of those guys that is just like, yeah, fuck you. The principal in
the principal in Dead Poets Society.
Yes, too. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly who I was going to be.
A lot of principals too.
A lot of professors.
Scent of a Woman. Principal.
That one too. That piece of shit. Yeah, but not a snitch.
Yeah. And also my next note, let her fall, for fuck's sake. Jesus Christ.
I get where you're coming from, Tad, with wanting Susan to kill her, but this is better.
And then, let her fall. Oops, Rusher stepped on her head. Or
it was a terrible horse accident.
Pylon, sorry. Yeah. Oops. Kind of like what happened to my dad.
Yeah.
Just, right?
Oh, terrible.
That's what she should
There was
say.
a snake.
Yeah, there was a snake.
There was a snake.
She tripped, fell, and, pylon.
She was scared by the snake. Then the horse got scared by the snake and trampled her. And I don't know why everyone's saying that I was jigging the horse back and forth over the body.
Yeah.
That's not what happened.
Over and over.
Yeah.
Over and over.
Like when you hit someone and then back up the car, hit him again, back up the car, and then hit him again.
She deserves it.
So I was go through my note. Let Cordelia live with the choices that she's made. And hopefully some people have heard her say that Cordelia was a part of the kill and cover up of Pat.
Yeah, it's true.
I doubt Susan said it loud enough that anyone else could hear it. Cordelia seems like she's screaming.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you want,
Yeah.
miss her. But I think Susan's more
Controlled. Yeah.
I forgive you, Aunt.
Yeah.
Very.
That's the best
like
way to
that.
get under
Oh,
people's
yeah,
skin.
absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. Is like that.
Yeah.
When they get that come up, it's just like, you have to live with that for
But
the rest
also
of your
when
life.
someone's like going nuts and getting really emotional, just be super like muted and don't rise to it, dude. It fucking spirals them even more.
Oh, my
and
God.
it's the best thing in the world.
I still remember when that lady was pissed at you, just screaming at you, and you were just so calm.
Yeah, it's and the thing is inside in my own mind and heart, I know I'm doing this to make them worse. But from afar, if a manager is to look at like some videotape and it's a customer service job, there's nothing they can point to say you did anything wrong.
Yeah.
I was being very polite, kept my tone very cordial, and whatever.
Also, that's when you start calling them ma'am repeatedly. Ma'am, I'm just trying to do what I can, ma'am.
Yeah.
Start every sentence like a drill sergeant.
Beginning and end.
Beginning and end. You will say "sir" before and after every sentence. You just start calling them "ma'am" every time.
Yeah. So my last note: ominous words, final words here from Cordelia and King recalling it to end the subchapter makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We know King too well, and subchapters ending a certain way are always.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, or not always, but it can it can pretend bad things.
Yes, absolutely. David says, "Oh yeah, Stephen King pronounces it wrong for sure." So, agreeing with you.
Yeah.
So we're in subchapter 3. We got a ways to go still.
We have some short chapters.
We do
though.
have some short subchapters here in this one. On her way out of town on the Great Road, Susan saw riders coming and thought it was best to get off the highway. She hid behind an old granary and stroked the neck of Pylon, murmuring for him to be quiet. Probably a really good idea to not be found by anyone when she's alone right now. Just saying. We know that she's not suspected of anything, but it's probably still a good idea not to be advertising her presence.
Yeah. And in my note, this isn't the first time. I feel like a few times throughout this story, we've had people that felt the need to hide with oncoming riders, and they've usually turned out to be correct. The one that came to mind is Roland. When the one Coffin Hunter was coming back from the riding their back trail. I want to say there was at least one time, too, with Susan where she kind of like got off the path to like get out of sight a little bit.
She thought about it doing it when
she thought about it for Roland. But I thought there was another time that she actually did, just not like even fall on hiding, but just like get out of the
and it was the
middle of
Coffin
things.
Hunters going by, wasn't it?
I think so.
But it was just the two of them because the other one was riding the back trail, I think.
Maybe, yeah. So yeah, it's a repeated thing throughout the story for sure. So.
Yeah. It took the riders longer to reach her, and when she saw who it was, she understood why. Rhea was with them, sitting in the back of a black cart covered in magical symbols. The witch had been scary when Susan last seen her on the night of the kissing moon, but still recognizably human. And I just paused. I believe that was 3 months ago is what we're... 3
to 4 months, I think.
3 to 4 months,
like,
right?
I would say like early summer, and now we're to like October, right? So yeah, that's kind of how I have in my mind. I think she says it in that first bit when she's like, "Oh, it's going to be X long until I have
3 full months,
something like that." So it's been a while, yeah. Also, back to the idea of hiding. Good thing she did. No one would have been worse right now to see her than Rhea. She still holds a grudge, and what edge Susan has right now would be completely gone.
Yes.
And with the Coffin Hunters, like they
probably
would have gunned her down. Rhea would have called it out, and they would have just fucking killed her.
You think they would have just
100%.
killed her, or do you think Rhea would have said, "Take her, and I want to torture her"?
No, they would have just killed her. Take her off the board, because especially if Rhea had time to say that, like, oh, she's been sleeping with Will. Just immediate. The mayor's not around anymore. Who? What would protect?
Oh, she
her?
was in on it.
Yeah,
She was trying to run, so we had to gun her down.
And it'd be a lot harder to throw her in with the boys for the plan that they've got, which we're going to cover the rest of the way in this episode.
Yeah.
But I think that would have made that plan a lot harder. So I think they 100% just gun her down, and that's the end of it. Okay. So good call on her to hide.
Yeah. When she saw what she saw riding in the cart was an unsexed, sore-rattled creature that looked more troll than human being. It rocked from side to side in the cart, clutching a bag in its lap. With Rhea were the big Coffin Hunters. "To see front," the thing in the cart screamed. "Hie you on, and at full speed. I'll sleep in Thorin's bed tonight, or know the reason why. Sleep in it and piss in it, if I take a notion. Hie you on, I say." And that's a direct quote from that vile, disgusting piece of garbage. DePape, whose horse was strapped to the cart, turned with a look of distaste and fear and told her to still her mouth. Her answer was a fresh burst of laughter. She rocked from side to side, clutching the bag with one hand and pointing at DePape with the long, twisted index finger of the other. Looking at Rhea made Susan feel weak, and she felt the panic around her again like some dark fluid that would happily drown her, given half a chance. She fought the feeling as best she could, refusing to let it turn her into what she was before, a bird trapped in a barn, bashing into the walls and ignoring the open window through which it had entered. Even when the cart was gone beyond the next hill, she could still hear Rhea's wild cackling. So again, I'm calling back the barn and bird analogy. So
Yeah. And birds. Remember the dreams before the murders?
Oh yeah, the big great bird.
There's
with the blood
both
and the
both
fire.
Thorin and his Olive both had. Now they were different what it was doing. One was fire, one was blood, but like a lot of aviary things going on here. A lot of ornithological things going on.
My note here: Shutters, no, thank you. Less Rhea, please. Just nope.
And my note, fault.
No,
we want more Rhea.
No,
give us a whole Rhea book, King.
Oh God, no. You know what? I would take it if we got an ending to Rhea.
Rhea's backstory. Just do like Disney. Like, hey, we're gonna do and do an origin story to tell you like why Rhea is like misunderstood.
A sympathetic.
Tell me that Disney's not been doing that for fucking 15 years.
Dude, I complained about it on Geekery Abides one time. I'm like, dude, I'm so fucking sick and tired of it because they were making the backstory for Scar sympathetic.
Yeah, and then they did the witch from Snow White, or not Snow White, Cinderella,
Maleficent.
And they did that one.
Like, come on, leave villains as villains.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah. So what an image King is painting here. Just absolutely brilliant. I also, my next note, I guess Rhea knows that Coffin Hunters don't care about Thorin to say that shit about pissing in his bed. Not just the Coffin Hunters, but the people that are there in the group, right? Like this just shows.
This is just the Coffin Hunters, by the way. The rest of the group,
that's right. The
rest of the group went with the boys back to town.
Yeah, but it just shows they're.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we don't know how much she knows about. I mean, she knows that he's probably dead. They probably told that to her, but do you think she saw any of it?
Absolutely, she did. I mean, it's one of the worst things that's happened in Hamburg,
in the
right?
town, probably.
It talks about it earlier when she's spying in the glass that she saw one other murder. So
Baraki says Maleficent is Sleeping Beauty. I thought Sleeping Beauty was the old fucking haggard. No, I'm thinking Snow White. Okay, that's what it was confusing. Snow White's the one I always picture for Rhea. Like that old fucking haggled creature.
Oh, yeah.
And
offering the poison apple.
Yeah, I was mixing those up. So Maleficent, Sleeping Beauty, yeah. So that just a correction there for any Disney people that will come after us.
And they will. They're hardcore Disney fans.
Yes, indeed.
So. My note.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Susan recognized that she had panicked before and couldn't do it again, was able to keep herself under control. That just shows, like, the strength of her.
Yeah, she's got the gunslinger medal for
Absolutely.
sure. Kind of what Roland spotted in like Jake and Eddie and Susanna. We're seeing the same thing with her. And I think we've seen it a bit more because we've seen more of this story than Roland has. And I'm sure Roland's seen some of it. But we've seen enough of it where I think we pointed out over the course of this book club where every time it's come up where it's like, yeah, she's got it in her.
Oh yeah,
she's got it in her. Which is always good. And then my next note: do you think that this is just natural fear from Susan, or is it some kind of spell? Like just the fear that Rhea puts on her. Like, do you think it's just purely natural, remembering what happened, realizing what danger she is, or do you think there's some sort of like spell that she has on herself to just permeate fear into people more than would be natural?
No, I don't think she has to cast a spell to do that. I think she's just able to do that. You know, like there's certain people that when they walk in a room, they just have that aura about them.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh shit, I need to shut up and listen. Like,
yeah.
Like we have a boss at work that's both a good friend of ours, but when he walks into a meeting, you know to shut the fuck up and listen, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing with Rhea. But I think Susan also recognizes the danger that Rhea possesses, especially being with the Coffin Hunters.
Yeah.
Because of what she knows.
I think there's just
Susan knows that she knows.
There's just something that almost feels ring-wraithy about it. Mm-hmm. And even some of the others, like the Coffin Hunters last episode, they reacted to her in a way.
Oh yeah.
Even before they saw her.
But I don't think it's necessarily a spell. I think it's literally just that aura of her. Because I mean, think about it. It's of the coups, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, could be for sure. Yeah. It was just a question because sometimes it strikes me that there's almost too much of an amount of fear to her, and it makes me wonder, would it not be her style to throw some kind of spell that just almost like, multiplies?
I just don't think that she needs to put the effort into it. Is the thing, as she does it already with being Rhea of the coups.
Yeah. That's probably true.
My last note here, it's remarkable, really, when you think about the morning that Susan has had. She's woken up at seafront to hear that Roland and his comrades supposedly murdered the mayor and the chancellor, her confrontation with Cordelia, and then seeing Rhea with the Coffin Hunters. And I understand why panic is a threat for her.
Yeah.
Like, I understand why it's about to come back. Like, her whole world in the last, 3 hours maybe?
Yeah.
Has been turned completely upside down.
Yeah, 100%. Because she woke up late. I think it said she was like nearly 10 something o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the next couple subchapters we're gonna get back to her. And it's gonna be like 1 o'clock. So yeah, it's only been a few hours.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for sure. All right, jumping on to subchapter 4. So she reached the hut in the bad grass at 1 o'clock. There it is, actually. I didn't realize it was the next subchapter. She sat on pylon for a moment, reflecting. Had she and Roland been here barely 24 hours ago, making love and plans? It was hard to believe. She saw the basket that she had brought their food in yesterday and realized that she had not eaten since that miserable dinner with Thorin. And she only picked at it, and she was all too aware of his eyes on her body. So, again, 16-year-old, 60-something-year-old, pretty gross. But she did not...
That's grosser than Ermot.
Yeah. But she did not have to worry about him anymore. And that's a hallelujah there. And then I have a direct quote. And she'd never have to walk down another seafront hallway wondering what door he was going to come bursting out of like Jack out of his box, all grabbing hands and stiff Randy prick.
It almost it makes you kind of glad that he's dead a little bit.
Oh,
right?
I mean, not even kinda. I have no sympathy for him at all. 100% glad to watch him die. In fact,
I think the only sympathy I have is that it affects our boys. If it didn't affect them and he was just dead, then I'd have zero sympathy.
Yeah,
I don't want them getting blamed.
And to me,
for
that's
it.
not really sympathy for him. That's just a matter of like the ripple effect that's going to happen is just it sucks for our boys. But I'm glad he's dead. Kind of like Cordelia. It'd be bad if Susan would have killed her in the last subchapter, but I would have been okay with it. So her mind went to the ashes, and she thought, not for us, Roland, not for us. So I know how that feels when a period of time passes when so much goes down. It feels like it's 10 times longer or 1,000 times longer.
Yeah.
It's we've all had that. I think we've all experienced that. Time is very plastic in certain elements, and that's one of them where
you're like, oh shit, all this has gone wrong. You look down at the clock and you're like, oh my god, it's been 9 hours.
Yeah.
How the hell has 9 hours gone past already?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
For sure.
I feel so bad for her here. She's been through so much these last few months. I mean, everything from going up to see Rhea for the first time, that traumatic event, meeting Roland, the welcome dinner, how Roland treats her. Just, it's been such a roller coaster ride.
Not to mention she lost her dad, 6-7 years ago, something like that.
Yeah. So having that Band-Aid ripped off when she finds out that...
And Cordelia.
All of the stuff with Cordelia, all of the stuff with, like her position at Seafront.
Yeah.
What the mayor's done to her.
Yeah.
All of this stuff.
She's got the Jake syndrome going on here.
She has definitely been put through the ringer by King. That's for sure.
And then my only other note here: so glad Thorin is dead.
Yeah,
just great. Also, Hayden popped up and said he can hear you there.
Hey, Hayden.
So she was afraid, but putting everything she needed to do in order. But she was hungry. She opened the basket and saw ants eating what they had left, which was some beef sandwiches. She brushed off the ants and ate 2 of the remaining sandwiches. She finished and moved to the north corner of the hut and moved the hides and found Roland's guns. Roland's command echoed in her mind, and I have it direct quoted here: "If things go badly, thee must come here and take them west to Gilead and find my father." She wondered if Roland had really expected her to blithely go off to Gilead with their unborn child, while the boys were roasted, screaming, red-handed on the Reap Night bonfire. She drew one of the revolvers out of the holster. It took her a minute to figure out how to roll the cylinder out, but she finally did and saw it was fully loaded. She snapped it closed and checked the other one. She concealed them in the blanket rolls behind her saddle and then mounted up to head east again, but not towards town. She had one more stop to make, and that's the end of the subchapter. So, man is in a different world with a different culture, but I would not be eating foods the ants were covered.
I'm just gonna. My only note here that I have to say is, if you're hungry enough, you'd eat it.
I don't know, man.
If you're hungry enough, you would eat it, Ted. That's
I
the thing.
don't know.
You got to realize she's gone basically 2 whole days without food.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll tell you right now, if you're hungry enough, you'll eat it. There's stories of humans eating a whole lot worse than just a little bit of ants on a sandwich.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't need that kind of protein in my life.
I mean, she doesn't eat the ants; she brushes them off.
You don't think there's gonna be any inside or whatever? That's my problem. I would never be able to like trust that there wasn't ants inside them.
Brocky says, you would, Tad, and worse.
No, I don't know, man.
Ants in your mouth are much more agreeable than uncles. Jesus Christ, Hayden.
Or mayors.
Or mayors, that's for sure.
So my next note, of course she would not be going, or of course she would not going, or of course she was not going just to go, but it's, this is as dumb as thinking Eddie was going to leave the guns with Detta and or wasn't going to leave the guns with Detta in book 2.
You're talking about her going to Gilead.
Yeah, going to Gilead.
Yeah,
Like I think we can kind of understand. Like, yeah, she's probably not going to do that. Like that's just not how people work.
No,
but
she's too much in love with Roland. Roland's an idiot for thinking.
Yeah,
that,
and it's
honestly,
it's just like Eddie leaving the gun in book 2.
Like you have to know a person in love is not going to make smart choices.
Doesn't mean I am not still judging Eddie for that, because I had just as much.
Are you judging Susan here for this?
She's a child.
Oh, come off it.
She's a child, so I'll give her a break.
Eddie's what, 7 years older than her, so he should know better.
Yeah, exactly. And he's lived a rough life, so he's got some maturity there too. Well, we all have had hints of what's in store for the boys, but there it is, stated baldly. Yikes. We've had a lot of hints about it, but I think that's the first time we had it overtly stated that they are going to be.
I think it's been 3 episodes now that it's been kind of hinted at.
Like small pieces at a time, but there it is, fully stated that they will be bound and burned alive.
Yep.
So Susan figuring out the guns. I like that.
Yeah.
Again, no training, so good on her. So good stuff.
Subchapter 5. This is a big subchapter.
I think this is the biggest one I think we got.
No, I think just impactful as well. Is the reason why I wanted to cover this one. Around 2:00, the word spread around town that Fran Lengyll would be speaking at the town gathering hall. No one could have said where the news started, and no one cared. By 3, the gathering hall was full, and a full 200 stood outside. They all listened to Lengyll's brief address, passing what he said back in whispers. It had been Coral at the Travelers List that had started the news of the address, and she was not present for it. Her and Jonas agreed that Fran's address should be simple and direct. No need for rabble-rousing. The townsfolk would be a mob by sundown on Reaping Day. A mob always picked its own leader and always picked the right one. I just realized I want to make a note of this. This is the day before Reaping Day.
Yeah, because
they were going to move on Reaping Day. Jonas and them jumped them on at dawn of
the day before.
I just want to make note of that. That hasn't been mentioned until here.
Yeah.
In this episode, that this is the day before Reaping Day.
Yeah, midday now.
Yes, and my one note here. This is not good.
Yeah. David said about our time stretching. They were only in Lud for 1 day and maybe not even a full day.
Oh yeah, no.
And that was.
Yeah.
That would have felt like a month, right? To all of us, even reading, it's like, oh my God. Now, probably took us 6 months to get through that section.
Probably,
but yeah. And then also, my note, more of the Coffin Hunters plan, no doubt. And then also, the last bit is so true. A mob will always find its leader and always picks the right one. And I think not right the way we would define right. Not the one you would want to
right
pick.
For the mob's objectives.
Yes, exactly. Salem Witch Trials.
Yes.
Keeps coming up, but
they found the right leader for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Lengyll spoke with his hat in his hands and told them how the murders had happened. He was brief and rough. Most had known him their whole lives and didn't doubt a word he said. Hartthorne and Kimba Reimer had been murdered by Dearborn, Heath, and Stockworth, he told them. They knew this because a bird's skull was found in the lap of the mayor. Murmurs greeted this news. Many had seen the skull either on Cuthbert's saddle or worn jauntily around his neck. They had laughed at his prankishness. He laughed back, but now they realized he was laughing at a different joke than they had been, almost as if he was laughing at them. Their faces darkened.
Yeah. So my first note, the inherent trust in Lengyll because everyone knew him their whole lives is so realistic.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like how many, I feel like that's almost a trope at this point when you have an outsider in town, something happens to him and it's like, well, it's you as an outsider's word versus someone that's a townie.
Yeah.
Right? Nick. It happens in Nick in the Stand. But it's like it happens all throughout movies and stuff too. I feel like it's almost just...
One of the big ones I feel like is a huge one is when the FBI's helping a local. They trust the local sheriff.
Yeah.
But to a certain extent, then they turn to the FBI when they want something done.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we want more done. Then they'll turn to the FBI. But initially... Well, you're an outsider. You don't understand things here.
Yeah.
We don't trust
you.
I
even mean when you're complete, like First Blood comes to mind, or Walking Tall. There's those kind of movies like that where it's like they're just an outsider just has no fucking hope especially in smaller towns.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's much less of a concern if you're in fucking New York City or whatever. But if you're in a small town, like everyone there fucking knows each other. They all went to the same one fucking building school from K through 12.
The sheriff is a classmate of the butcher, and the butcher is a classmate of the gas station attendant. All of them went to school together.
Yeah, and it's like, so you coming in as an outsider, you just have no hope. It's like that just feels very real that like they're all just going to trust Lengyll implicitly because
absolutely,
that's the reality.
Yeah. This right here where they're describing like the joke where Cuthbert's laughing and then they realize that he was laughing at a different joke. This reminds me of all the photos or videos of killers from before they were captured, where we with the knowledge of what they've done can point to it and be like, oh my God, look, he is so very clearly evil. And here now the town is having that with their memories.
Yeah,
it's
like all the Pogo the Clown pictures of John Wayne Gacy.
Exactly. Or like the ones of Bundy where like you have videos of Bundy or pictures of Bundy with women, friends and stuff like that. Or with his fiance, I think it was. Not his. He didn't ever actually marry her. The one in Washington, that had the daughter.
Yeah.
You see pictures of that, and you're just like, "What were you thinking?" And you see the smile on there, and it looks creepy as hell to us.
Yeah.
It looks so differently.
Context.
It looks so differently when you have context. Exactly.
Context.
But when you look at that picture before, like if he had never, it's just a man with his girlfriend. Oh, it's so wholesome, kind of thing. It's so different.
It's like when people take a screen grab of The Mist right before certain things happen in that car. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you know, you know. Mm-hmm. Context matters. Also, I will say earlier, when it comes to like the mob always picks the right one, Mrs. Carmody is another good example of that. I thought about that like the second you started saying your first couple words, so I didn't want to cut you off, but
you have a very good point.
Bringing Mrs. Carmody up also makes me happy because I know how much you love her. So
I hate her
almost
as much as you.
As much as we love the Lookout, it is coming around to really fuck us here.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
So Lengyll goes on and says the weapon used for the murder was a knife that had belonged to Dearborn. The three young men had been taken this morning as they prepared to flee Mejis. Their motivations are unclear, but probably working for John Farson and therefore after horses. They were, in other words, traitors to their own lands and the cause of the affiliation. Lengyll had planted Brian Hookie's son 3 rows back, and he delivered his question right on cue. Have they confessed? I confessed and spoke most proudly of it. A loud murmur at this. It ran backwards like a wave. Lengyll went on to say Dearborn and his friends found out that Jonas and his friends had found out about their plans and told Reimer. Not confusing at all.
Yeah.
So they killed Reimer and the mayor to cover their tracks in case Reimer had told the mayor. It made little sense to Latigo, and he had argued, and Jonas had smiled and nodded, saying, no, not a mite of sense. But it doesn't matter. Lengyll was prepared to answer questions, but none were asked.
Yeah, just masterful crowd work here, even down to having a plant in the crowd to ask a scripted question. I tip my cap to Jonas here.
Yeah. I can see this is a back and forth scene. Shots of Lengyll telling the gathering hall, that meeting. But then also the private meeting with Joseph's planning it. Kind of like a house, like heist movies.
Yeah.
Okay, so how we're going to get into the bank is we're going to drop from the ceiling. And then it shows them dropping from the ceiling. And it does like the step-by-step of the heist where it shows the planning and then this. And it goes back and forth. I can see it being that way.
Or even just do voiceover. Have Jonas's voiceover telling him, like instructing him as it's all happening.
Yeah. And if you have someone like Frank does Latigo's voice, very, very distinctive. If you have someone who has a distinct voice, you could even have Latigo and Jonas having a conversation there.
Yeah.
As the crowd's murmuring at what Lengyll just said. This doesn't make any sense. Of course it doesn't. That's the point. You have the
Moms
distinct
don't
voices.
need sense.
They don't.
No, not at all.
Lengyll told the crowd the boys were in jail, but didn't say what would happen to them next. He told them that some of the activities for the next day, again, Reap, were canceled. The pumpkin carving contest, the pig scramble, the riddling competition, and the dance had been canceled out of respect for the tragedy. However, the things that really mattered, the cattle and livestock judging, the horse pull, sheep shearing, the stock line meetings, and the auctions for horses, pigs, cows, and sheep would all go on. And of course, the bonfire at moonrise. The burning of the stuffy guys. Char-Yu Tree was the end of Reaping Fair Day, and had been since time out of mind. Nothing would stop it save for the end of the world. Jonas said that all he had to say was that the bonfire will burn and the stuffy guys will burn on it. Lengyll saw that he had been right. On every face, not just determination to do what was right, but a kind of dirty eagerness. the old ways, the rights of which the red-handed stuffy guys were one surviving remnant. They were apologies for every Spanish speaker. I'm about to butcher your language. They were los ceremoniosos, Charu tree. It had been generations since they had been practiced, except every once and again in secret places in the hills. But sometimes when the world moved on, it came back to where it had been.
Secret ceremonies in the hills, that just sounds fun.
No.
Sounds like the kind of thing you want to do,
With
right?
like robes and shit like that. No, Tad. That's
Ouija boards, pentagrams.
On behalf of Hayden, fuck off, Tad.
Also, riddle contest. That's a cool callback.
It is, right?
Although it's getting canceled. The way that Roland made it sound, that was an important part, and maybe that's one that would have been on the saved side, not the canceled side. Also,
if you're more in-world where riddling matters more than livestock, probably.
Yeah, probably. Also, canceling some of the more beloved aspects of their fare is certainly calculated as well. Remove some beloved comforts, and it will make people more angry. Again, very good manipulation here.
A lot of that stuff probably feels like work, like the sheep shearing and livestock wrangling for auctions and stuff like that.
That's money, right?
Probably feels more like work than a dance or a pig chasing contest, or the pumpkin carving contest, all that kind of stuff that it mentioned.
Hayden says no in the chat.
I think that's from a minute ago too. That's from a while ago, but I think it
still stands.
Still stands. Yes. That phrase "los ceremoniosos" translates to the ceremonious ones. And talking about secret places in the hills, we're talking about human sacrifices, right?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Like that's what this is, right? That's what the stuffy guys represent. Is they used to burn people for human sacrifice. That's what we're talking about, right?
Yep, and the stuffy guys are just a fill-in.
Symbolic, remnant, like it said. This is not good. I honestly have thought that, but this time going through with like the deep dive, I was kind of paying more attention. Like, no one ever overtly says the words human sacrifice or we're gonna burn them at the stake or anything like that. Like you mentioned, like it's been kind of mentioned with what's gonna happen to the boys. Yeah. But then the last subchapter, Susan just like out and out says it. Now we're finding out that used to be a practice in this part of the world.
A normal practice, yeah. Shirley Jackson, eat your heart out with the lottery, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, indeed. So the line about burning stuffy guys will happen and not saying any more. It's master manipulation. This is some Inception level stuff where you basically set the people up to come to the conclusion on their own. So much so that they don't even suspect that they've been manipulated. Again, I feel like this whole like run of sections here, I feel like I'm just constantly doffing my cap to old Jonas because he has played this masterfully.
Yeah.
So
Baraki says he called the things which remained as more important and probably what formed the core of the festival, the real reason for it, around which the rest of the fun things developed over centuries. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I also think, like you said, though, like this is kind of the outer area. So I think that if you're in the inner baronies, like you're going to get more like highly educated people, and I think then with those kind of people, riddling is going to be seen less as a children's game and
also
more
the riddling was an end of year festival, not a reap festival.
Yeah,
that's December into January is the time frame for my mind because that's the new year.
Yeah, but I bet
so
you
different festivals. But I think I think we're both right. Yeah, I think it is dependent on the region. It's going to be different.
If you're in a farmland, all the rest of that stuff is way more important than riddles. So
reaping's way more important than year end, which was the most important. I think Roland even says it. Year end is the most important festival in
like New Year's, right?
Yeah,
we all love Thanksgiving.
No, we don't.
But New Year's is going to trump it over everything, right?
Yeah.
It's just it's huge. It's the start of the new year, whatever. Like
exactly.
There's all kinds of symbols and
except when you're looking at like farming communities. Harvest time is way more important than that.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
And Brock says they're working folks. They have less time for festivals. And Hayden also says Thanksgiving is delicious.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's my least favorite holiday. I'd rather celebrate Flag Day than that.
And your 40th is falling on Thanksgiving.
Thanks for reminding me, Tad. My least favorite holiday and my birthday has to fall.
Your 40th, too. It's
a
big
40th birthday has to fall on Thanksgiving.
Big one.
It's terrible. All right, going on, about to finish the subchapter. Jonas had told him to keep it brief, and Lengyll ended it here by saying, "Gods give you peace," stepping back and folding his arms with his hands to his shoulders to show he was done. Gods give us all peace. Long days and peaceful nights, they returned in a low automatic chorus. They simply turned and left to go wherever folks go the noon before reaping day. Lengyll knew a great number of them would end up at the Traveler's Rest or the Bayview Hotel. He reached up and mopped his brow. He hated being in front of people, and never so much as today. But it had gone well, he thought. Very well indeed.
Yeah.
And my only note here is if you had asked me before this book club what scenes I was most excited for on screen from this book, this wouldn't have made my list. It wouldn't have even crossed my mind.
Yeah.
Like, not even a fucking chance.
Well, especially because Blaine's finale is in this
I
book,
know.
too.
Blaine's finale, Roland standing up
Showdown
to
at
Blaine
the
is here.
Traveler's Rest.
The Showdown at the Traveler's Rest.
Well, Roland standing up was the last book, but it was repeated
It
in this
is
book.
repeated in this book as well. So it depends on which one you're going to put it in. Roland meeting Susan, the dance, them falling in love and everything. Cuthbert standing up to Roland.
Yeah.
He's a
fan.
Yeah. All of those things would have come across my mind. But now doing a deep dive, I can't wait for this scene.
Yeah.
The back and forth, the tension is going to be amazing. And it's just unreal to think that you're going to have hundreds of people and you're just going to feel that animosity from the mob if it's done right and everything. I can't wait for this scene to be on film.
Yeah, for sure. My next note, I have a couple notes here. Hell, even using Lengyll that hates crowds and speaks in front and hates speaking in front of them. Again, this is great manipulation. You're far less likely to suspect being manipulated by someone that's like this versus a smooth talking used car salesman type. That tends to perk your ears and make you think that something's afoot.
Yeah, put you on like the defensive.
Because I assume that because he doesn't like it, that it's hard to read it in the text, but I would imagine he's stammering here. I feel like if I was the actor doing this, I would play this where you're not doing very well. You're yammering, you're trailing off. You're
you see like we've talked about it before, but like local sheriffs when they're thrust into like a nationwide spotlight.
Yeah, they just
for
can't
a murder
handle.
investigation. They're just like they're kind of like fumbling with their words and they're just not ready for it. They're not used to it versus like an FBI spokesman who's done this day in and day out for 6 years, kind of thing.
Yeah, so it kind of makes me think that's probably part of the plan as well.
Yeah.
And also, so you get the town into a slow boil, then you know full well what they're all going to go drink the chunk of the rest of the day away. This is not good.
Yeah, it's like Baraki said, we took away all the fun stuff, like all that stuff that goes around the main part of the
shit that will
day.
like let off some steam.
That's also, now that I think about it, us talking about it reminded me, King's been talking about that for, 3 or 4 episodes about how excited everyone is.
Yeah, it's like
for
Christmas.
It.
It's
It's the biggest day of the year.
Yeah, that week moving into Christmas, the way every kid feels is how they feel. So
all the adults have stopped having sex. All the people are saving up their pennies, nickels, and dimes to go to the Reap Fair. The kids are thinking about all the rides.
And now you're
everything
canceling 40% of the things.
All of that stuff, 100% of the fun stuff is gone.
Yeah.
So now you're just going to sit home and stew.
Fester. Your kids are going to be annoying, so you're just
you're going to be stuck home with them instead of sending them to the fair. You're going to, you know what? I need to get out of this house.
Yeah.
And where do you go? You go to the Traveler's Rest or the hotel.
Yeah.
And then you're going to mix alcohol with that feeling.
Yeah, I love it. Brilliant stuff. And then Baraki says Ermot's amazing last heroic moment. Indeed. Our sweet departed prince.
Stop it.
So subchapter 6. This is a short one. The crowd moved away without speaking. Most, as Lengyll had foreseen, went to the saloons.
Yep.
Their way took them past the jail, but few looked at it, and those who did only quickly glanced at it and looked back away. The porch was empty aside from Avery's rocker. The door was ajar as it usually was on a warm, sunny afternoon. The boys were inside, no doubt about that. But there was no sign that they were being guarded in any meaningful way. If the men passing had banded together, they could have taken the boys with no trouble at all. Instead, they moved, hardly looking, and with no conversation as they moved toward their drinks. Today was not the day, nor tonight. Tomorrow, however.
That's not ominous as fuck.
Again, the way King ends his subchapters, man. This reminds me of the scene when Michael Corleone goes to the hospital and finds all the guards have been removed.
Yeah.
In Godfather 1.
You see it and you know something's going to happen, but it's not happening instantly.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so all of the mafia guards are gone. The police are gone. Like, what?
Why?
Yeah, why? Exactly. And King really builds the tension across multiple subchapters. It is funny, the whole story, we knew Reap would kind of be when shit went down this whole book. And it's the whole book's kind of had this countdown, this ticking clock. Despite all that's happened this day now, the ticking clock is still there now.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, okay, so our boys are going to be burned alive at the Reaping Fair tomorrow night.
Yep.
So we almost thought like, oh, the minutes ticked out. The plan got laid. Like, now what the fuck's going to happen? But no, now King's like, actually, ticking clock's still going.
Yeah.
So that's
the bomb's been disarmed. Psych.
no, it hasn't. Yeah, exactly. So, good stuff.
If I was making this series, the episode with all of this would just be a slow build-up before the end where nothing really happens, just like that bomb is ticking constantly over it, and then just tension building for that entire episode, and then the next episode is where everything else goes down.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Just an entire episode of nothing but, like, the boys getting jailed, Susan waking up, the confrontation with Cordelia, seeing Rhea, and then the town hall meeting and everything, and just being like,
yeah,
just a constant gas.
Cut to credits as the crowds are walking past the jail.
Yeah, that's it. It's just like, you can't do that to us. Like, what's gonna happen?
That'd almost be as shitty as leaving on a riddle contest and then not writing a book for 7 years.
All right, subchapter 7. I don't think this one's really short too. Not too far from the bar case, Susan saw something that made her rein up and simply sit in the saddle with her mouth open. Below her and to the east about 3 miles, a band of a dozen cowboys rounded up the biggest herd of drop runners she had ever seen. Perhaps 400 in all. That's a lot of horses when you think about it.
Yeah.
They ran where the Vax pointed them with no trouble. Susan thinks that the horses probably are thinking that it's time to go away for the winter, but they aren't heading towards the ranches, but they are heading towards Hanging Rock. She had believed Roland, but this made it true in a personal way. One she could directly relate to her dead father. "You bastards," she murmured. "You horse-thieving bastards." She turned pylon and rode for the burned-out ranch. Overhead, the demon moon glimmered ghostly in the daylight sky.
Yeah.
That's the whole subchapter.
Yeah, it's a short one.
I get what Susan is feeling here. You can be told something, but once you see it with your own eyes, it just hits so much more personable. You know, like I think it was you that told me, like, one of our favorite places was closing, the restaurant place.
Yeah.
You told me, and I'm like, Dad, that sucks. But then just randomly, like a week later, I drove past it. Just not intentional. I wasn't going there to see if you had lied to me. But I was driving past it, and I saw it, and just...
Dude, every time I drive by what used to be the Redwood Drive-In.
Yeah.
It's been plowed. It's all gone.
Yeah. You drive past it, you're just like, oh.
Been there since like the 40s or something
Yeah.
like that. So, yeah. Also where old Ted Bundy claimed to have been when he got caught. So, knowing something is in an academic sense is one thing, but to see it is so much different. Also personal for her due to her father, and also 400 in a world like this, that is very significant. Like, think about what, like, you know, back in the day of like an army of 5,000 people, like I feel like we're even less than that in this world. Mm-hmm. So 400 mounted riders, like that's the third armored, you know, like that's significant. So,
absolutely.
Brocky, we can't cover that note, but
nope.
Good thought though. Subchapter 8. Susan worried that Jonas would have left the men at the bar K. She doesn't know why he would have, but she worried anyway. It turned out to be groundless. The ranch was empty. She could see signs of the confrontation that morning. She went into the bunkhouse and saw the hole in the floor where Jonas had took the other guns from. He had neglected to close it. She looked and did not find what she was looking for, which made sense. The hole is not big enough. She looked at the cots and wondered which one was Roland's. She knew his smell enough to figure it out, but she left that impulse behind. She had to move hard and quick and without a pause. Ashes echoed in her head from Cordelia, so that's not fun that's reoccurring for us here. But shook her head to clear it. There was nothing behind the bunkhouse anywhere around the privy, but near the cook shack she found what she'd been looking for. 2 barrels that she had last seen strung over Caprioso's back. So I don't think she's wrong to worry about guards. If Jonas had thought the boys had any conspirators and assumed they had any kind of plan, he probably would have planted at least one fucking idiot here. So once again, his never underestimating the boys, quote unquote, proves to be the case sometimes, but not all of the time.
Yeah, it is kind of shocking that Jonas just left everything else at the bar. He took the guns, the two guns,
Yeah.
dismantled them and threw the pieces every which way.
Yeah.
I would have had some men clean the place out, leave nothing. Why leave stuff there?
Yeah.
Like,
So,
there's no reason not to.
He's
right?
he's essentially assuming, one, they have no co-conspirators, and two, that they didn't have any grander plan, or that because they're arrested, that grander plan meant nothing.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is all of that, you have to assume the worst about the boys. You're forgetting the Traveler's Rest, which is what he's said since that moment. I'm never letting that happen again. But every so often he fucking lets it happen.
I wonder, I think maybe we need to give Jonas a little bit of a break here. We do have to remember the confrontation that Roland and Jonas had as they were being arrested.
Yeah.
And that's where Jonas made the decision not to leave someone there, not to clear it out.
Maybe.
Maybe he wasn't exactly thinking clearly because Roland had gotten under his skin and everything.
Yeah,
so
that could be it for sure.
That could definitely be it.
Yeah.
I do want to pause real fast. I want to point out that you missed a note in the last subchapter.
Oh, did I?
You did. You had 2 notes and you only read 1.
No, I read the 400.
Did you read them?
Yeah.
No, the one before that.
Yeah. I covered that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So as she is not falling into this girly bullshit, she's all business. Well done. Mm-hmm. Got to give some credit to Susan here.
Not just falling down and crying like a old school Disney princess.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-oh, the Disney fans are after me.
The thought of Cappy made her think of Sheemie, who had asked for a fin de año kiss from her. Sheemie, whose life had been saved by Arthur Heath. Sheemie, who had risked the wrath of the witch by giving the note to Cuthbert instead of Cordelia. Sheemie, who brought these barrels up here. She opened one of the barrels and some of the firecrackers were still inside. The round fist-sized big bangers and the small lady fingers. She took plenty of bowls, stuffing her pockets, and carried an armload to her saddlebag. She could tell by the sun it was 3:30, and she wanted to get back to Hambry no earlier than twilight, and that gave her another hour. She found the cot that was Roland's and knelt by it like a kid saying prayers, speaking to him, saying that she loved him. She looked at the soot in her hands and thought about washing but decided against it. Let it stay, she thought. Let them stay and do their worst.
I just had a thought here about the bangers and everything, the gunpowder, that it says that there was only some left.
Yeah.
I just realized where the rest went. They laid the path into the so they could spark it and let the brush on fire and eye-bolt.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, because remember it was the windy, and they were like worried about the wind a little bit. And it's like, no, don't even think about it, because like we can't.
They dug the trench for the gunpowder to go in.
Yeah.
Oh man, I completely forgot about that until just now.
And then my first note, Susan, you're in a King novel. I wouldn't wish for that.
No.
Let
them do their worst. It took me a second when I went through it. I read your note here with that. I'm like, what's he talking about? Then I looked up and I read the last line again of your little summary, and I was like, oh, God, no, don't say that.
Don't say that. Do not say that. I like her thinking back on Sheemie. He has been a real one this whole story.
Yeah.
So, and then Suze is doing good, getting what she needs and timing everything out right. Not bad for a child who's not been trained her whole life like the boys. I keep giving her credit for that, but I'm not going to stop giving her credit for it because she deserves all the credit.
Absolutely, because it seems like she has a plan either forming or already formed a plan.
Yeah.
And she's acting on it because she says, it says, I want to get back to Seafront at, was it dusk or was it?
Yeah, dusk.
Yeah, and so
earlier than dusk.
Earlier than dusk.
No earlier than dusk.
No earlier than dusk. So she doesn't want to be there before dusk. So exactly, she's like, it seems like she already has a plan, and there's a timing element to it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
She's on top of this.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Subchapter 9. That's where we're ending today, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Subchapter 9. My Susie has her faults, but she's always on time, Pat Delgado used to say. Fearful punctual, that girl. It was true the night before Reap. She skirted her own house and rode to the Traveler's Rest not 10 minutes after the sun had finally gone behind the hills. Filling the high street was thick shadows. The streets were eerily deserted considering it was the night before Reap. The band that had been playing for the last week straight was silent. No firecrackers, no yelling, no laughing children, and only a few of the colored lamps were lit. Stuffy guys seemed to peer from every shadowy porch. Susan shivered at the sight of their blank white cross eyes. The rest was equally eerie. The hitching rails were crowded, and every light was lit, but it was not the usual riot and jubilation usually set to Shev's piano. She found she could imagine them all in there drinking. Not talking or laughing or playing games. Just drinking.
Yeah, the deserted street with stuffy guys peering from every shadowy porch is a low-key terrifying image, especially when you remember that it's Demon Moon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because they're essentially just like, like emotionless scarecrows just peeking from every shadowy...
Scarecrows are creepy as fuck as it is. Imagine putting them in your town instead of out in the cornfield.
We should do that.
Put a stuffy guy on Hayden's porch.
No, everyone's porch.
I think just Hayden's porch.
It should be a Halloween thing.
No, just Hayden's porch. So my note here, this is not good at all. We have seen what a group of people left to drink and stew on some heinous crime can do. Jonas and that group were brilliant at getting the crowd to this point, and now they just have to wait for them to blow. We talked about it in the last my last subchapter.
Yeah, they lit the fuse.
And it's
a slow burn fuse, but it's burning.
They made this bomb perfect.
Yeah. Hayden also says horrifying. No.
Oh, okay. Since he said no, we won't do it then. Of course.
Just imagine, like, in our world, like in a suburb,
every
house having one, and you just look up the street and you just see scarecrows at every fucking house.
Just in the like staked in the front yard, not even up on the porch, just staked
and
in the front
especially
yard.
think about it if they were all turned your direction, looking.
Oh,
at you.
facing the house instead of facing out?
you. No, facing. You're up at the top of the street.
Oh,
and you're looking down. You see them.
And so they're turned sideways, looking at you instead of looking at the house or out. Yeah. Could be fun. Absolutely uncalled for.
All right.
As she drew, piling up in front of the saloon, a shape rose out of the shadows as she tensed up. The first orangey light of the rising moon caught the person's face, and she saw that it was Sheemie. She relaxed. He was part of their quartet and laughed a little at herself. He says that he had been waiting for her. She asks why. He says he knew she would come, and they are going to set Arthur and them free, ain't we? She says she hopes so. He says they have to because the people in there don't talk, but they don't have to. He knows. She asks if Coral is inside, and Sheemie tells her that she has gone to the mayor's house and told Stanley they were going to lay out the bodies for the funeral the day after tomorrow. He doesn't think that she will be there for the funeral. He thinks she is going with the big Coffin Hunters and leaving. She asks about his mule, and he says Cappy is around back, all saddled and ready to go. She started to ask how he knew, and he shrugged, saying the same way he knew she would come. She fumbled in her saddlebag and brought out some firecrackers. She gives them to him and asks if he had a match or two. He says that he does. No questions. Just simply stuffed the firecrackers into his pocket.
Yeah. Also, Brocky says, or if they're all looking a different direction, and then you turn around and you turn back, and they're all now facing you.
There you go.
It's a classic scare there. Sheemie knows an awful lot for someone that's mentally challenged. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. Also, he thinks Coral is going to ride out with the Coffin Hunters. We know that's true. That's cold.
Yeah.
Leaving her brother in the lurch on his deathbed, or on his what do you call that? Funeral bed? Like his deathbed's where you're dying. Like actively dying.
Funeral pyre, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So
I'm definitely starting to see the plan forming here. Like I'm starting to see what might happen.
Yeah.
She asked him if the patrons at the bar left their coats somewhere. He says long tables just inside the door. She thinks long and fast. She says to Sheemie if he helps her, he is done in Hambury and Mejis and even the Outer Arc. He will have to go with them. Does he understand that? His face shone with the idea. She saw that he did. He can't wait to go with her and his friends to see the buildings and statues and women in gowns like fairy princesses. She stops him by saying, if we are caught, we will be killed. He stopped smiling, but his eyes didn't waver. Aye, killed if taken, most like. She asked if he would still help her, and he said his mule is all saddled, as if that was answer enough. For Susan, she reckoned it was. She kissed his cheek, and he smiled up at her. We'll do our best, won't we, she says. Aye, daughter of Pat, we'll do our best for our friends. Now listen, she says, and starts to talk. Sheemie listened. And that's the end of the subchapter.
Indeed. And Brocky is taken off. So see you, Brocky.
See you, Brocky. Thanks for being here.
Yep, thank you.
Yep, she definitely has a plan, and Sheemie is such a great guy, ready to help. I love when they're like, we should do this, right? Well, Cappy's all ready to go. Like they don't even answer the question. They're like, yeah, dummy.
Yeah. Also, Sheemie, Tom Collin, twinners.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely got to be, right?
Yeah.
And then that's my next. No, actually, it reminds me of Tom Collin. There's a chapter in The Stand where it talks about how Tom is probably the happiest he's ever been because everyone just accepts him as he is post-outbreak, which would not have been the case pre-flu. I feel Sheemie is probably the same here. No one has ever treated him as normal as our boys and Susan have. So
yeah.
I feel like that's a good parallel there. So Yeah, that is the end of the section. So that will bring us over to...
Warning, spoilers ahead. Warning, spoilers ahead. Warning, spoilers ahead.
All right, so we are now going into spoilers. I guess I'll have to change the slide because I'm doing it different this episode. I don't really usually have the two screens on book clubs because there's very little screen changes.
Yeah.
So we're now in the spoiler section. If you've not finished the 7 primary books of the Dark Tower series, these things might be spoilers. In fact, one of them is certainly a spoiler for the rest of the series, and then one that Baraki mentioned earlier is a spoiler for the end of this book. So
yeah,
you want to cover Baraki's first?
Sure. Think about what Stephen said to Roland before Hax's execution, Stephen Ch8, about how the people need a scapegoat, and if they don't have one, they make one. And then think about Reap. The mob didn't have the boys. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, very much.
Definitely.
And it's coming quickly, sir.
See you, Hayden.
All right, see ya.
I am not looking for it. Dude, I might cry on that episode. That gets me every time with it.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Man, it's so rough. I don't know how I'm going to handle Oi and Eddie and all those other ones, too.
Yeah. Indeed. So my one I had is not sure if we've really seen much of a view of Sheemie's psychic nature until now, but all at once he knows a whole hell of a lot. I love that King is establishing it now because it's obviously going to pay off in a huge way later in this book, but also it's going to pay off massive later on in, is it book 7?
Yeah.
So
his psychic abilities where he's talking to the beam. The beam says thank you. The beam says all is well.
But even the fact that we see him again only comes down to his psychic nature, right?
Yep. Shine.
And then the rest of this book, we're going to see that like he ends up traveling to Gilead on his own.
Yeah.
And would never have happened if not for that. So
I do want to call out, I don't have it written down for a spoiler, but your last note here kind of sparked it. There's a lot of similarities here in this section, these subchapters that we covered with the stand.
Yeah.
The big meeting hall, the murmuring.
Oh, yeah.
The person who's, conducting the meeting doesn't want to conduct the meeting.
Yeah.
And
see,
Stu's like that.
And I think of this all the time, but you're not as fresh on the stand because you don't read it as much as I do.
Right.
But now you're so freshly read on it that, these are all these things that jump out to me all the time are now jumping out to you.
I'm literally listening to the stand, driving over to your place to record episodes right now. I'm still listening to it. So it's like,
yeah, I love it.
This is all very fresh for me. So I see a lot of parallels here between the two. And it's just like,
yeah.
The mob mentality almost where I'm past the bombing now, so
public executions,
the crucifixion, but also like the mob mentality with like Harold and Nadine after they blow up the committee and scamper out of Boulder, kind of thing. So like absolutely I kind of get I get that like Stu has a very good line, damn it, we're supposed to be the good guys, kind of thing. So like I love that line. It's just like, and so to see like this town getting riled up that way and getting played by Jonas and them, it's like I 100% understand how that can happen.
Yeah. Great stuff. But yeah, that's all I got. Loving this. Like I said, like it's crazy that we're already into chapter 8, because again, there's only 10 chapters and then we're done with this story of Roland's.
Yeah.
And we all, now that we're in the spoiler section, can definitely say that we're probably not that far removed from some of those episodes, because we also need to talk about the post Hambry stuff in this. Or wait, yeah, I think that's all still in the flashback, because some of the story when we get back to the present.
I think that we don't have anything. We have the.
Like Roland talks about Rhea.
Roland talks about that
in
stuff
the modern day,
but he also talks about like, how do you know all this? And he's like, I saw it in the pink ball and everything like that. So that's not told in the flashback. I think the flashback ends with Charyu Tree.
We're coming up close.
We're very close,
because we're eating up these chapters with 1 or 2 episodes at a time. So yeah, and we got another episode in a fortnight. So looking forward to that, because remember, it is a 3-episode month, which that means we always do a second book club unless there's some kind of emergency, but that doesn't seem to be happening. So book club next time. But yeah, that is that'll do it for this episode. If you want to subscribe to us, you can find us on any podcasting service of your choice. You can find us on Apple Podcasting, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, anywhere pretty much podcasts are sold. old. Which I know they're not sold, but I love the old thing. Wherever fine products are sold, and the old TV commercials. Then if you want to join us for the live streams, you can find us at youtube.com/darktowerpalaver. You can watch old live streams. You can join us live like everyone here did in the chat. If you want to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications, we'd appreciate that. Find the show notes at darktowerpalaver.com. Support us over at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver, which I think not next episode, the episode after next, we'll have our second stand hangout in September. Yep. So, and we also have some September episodes moving too, or one episode moving. I forgot about that too. Got my 40th birthday coming up and doing a vacation for that. So one of the episodes, I think it's the first episode, shifts early.
I think we're going early is what we talked about.
Yeah. So
it's from the 13th of September,
which is literally the day that we're leaving.
Right. We're going to be recording on the 6th of September.
Yeah, so we got a double header coming up. A fortnight in our next episode, and then after that will be a double header. So just know that's coming up. I should have covered that in the very beginning. I forgot until just now.
We'll cover it next episode.
Yeah,
too.
Then if you want to contact the show, Peter can let you know the ways to do that.
Best way is to email us at show@darktowerpalaver.com. But you can follow us on all of our social media stuff. It's Threads and Instagram is Dark Tower Palaver, all one word, no spaces. Blue Sky is at darktowerpalaver.bsky.social. And then our Twitter is at darktowerpod. That's at darktowerpod. And then facebook.com/darktowerpalaver for Facebook. And then check out our merch. It's tpublic.com/users/darktowerpalaver.
Yes, indeed. And so, again, we'll see you in a fortnight for another book club. We'll go ahead and catch up with the rest of what happens in this chapter. And until then, we'll sign off, so we always do, by saying long days and pleasant nights.
Long days and pleasant nights, folks.
Oi.
All right, everyone in the chat, thank you all for joining. Thanks for being part of the conversation. You guys are awesome. You always make it fun. And, yeah, it's great. Whether you're I saw someone defending Oi earlier, too. I forgot to read it, but somebody is defending Oi against my charges.
Of course you skipped that message.
You missed it, too. So, and the Irma.
Yeah, I missed it. You saw it and ignored it. There's a difference there, sir. There's a difference between missing something and seeing something and ignoring to bring it up because it counters your point.
No, we got diverted into all of their kind of conversations.
You and the slander. Oh, Baraki said it. Oi gets no hate. He's a good boy. Yeah, how dare you?
I mean, he is when he's not attacking children. So, all right. See you guys.
Bye, everyone.